Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only show where things happen. I forgot to do the countdown video before we started, Scotty. Literally, come on, I'm running late. I'm like, we're running behind. I'm just gonna go live, and then we'll talk on air and figure stuff out. I'm missing a light here now. I'm like,
you're
uplit
so
by a bunch of
rattled.
blue. I'm
You're
all over the
rattled.
place. I'm rattled.
Guy gets married, and he comes back unprepared. What can we say, folks? What can we say? What does that say about the future of Ring Post Radio? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows at this point anymore?
But Ryan, I wanted to ask you to kick off this show, even though I think we could have just waited 5 minutes. In retrospect, but now we're here.
Sure.
How was your wedding?
Oh boy, Scotty, do I have a tale for you?
We love tales.
I have tales. I have tales now. That's part one of the story. Is I have tales now. Part two is, so Jesse. So start the week off, right? Jesse's maid of honor, Liv, comes in, helps us out. She comes in, she flies in on Tuesday. She starts helping us out, but she's not really helping us out because she's still working and she's only available after 6 p.m. And really, that's a couple hours of a little help, but I'll take it. We'll take it. Wednesday, Jesse's parents fly in to help us out, and they're a big help. They helped get a bunch of the food and everything that we need because we had a Sunday brunch that we were hosting at our house on Sunday. Thursday,
start to the marriage. Say your in-laws are smart. Continue.
I have to cover all my bases. All my bases.
Of course.
Thursday, I borrow a lawnmower. Me and my father-in-law now are working on some lawn care, and then the right here, right behind my back on the right side, starts hurting. I start getting some pressure on that. I'm like, okay, did I throw my back out? I'm 6'5", I'm tall, I'm bending over a bunch to pick up leaves. So maybe I hurt myself. That pressure starts getting worse and worse. Scotty, I know what this pressure is. I have not told this to. I kept this story a secret from you. Thursday, I end up going to the ER.
Oh, jeez.
Because I'm having my third, in the past 5 years, my third kidney stone.
Oh, my God. Third.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
I was going to say, if I were you, I'd probably want to fix that.
Yeah, we're in the process of figuring that out.
Okay.
Folks. Don't worry. But,
okay. Wow.
But this is Thursday. I get married Saturday.
Yes, I was going to say the math is not good in your favor here. But
no, it ends up being a 2 millimeter stone, which is exactly like the size of my second one. It's very frustrating when you ever have kidney stones that finding out how that all this pain, like I was in so much pain, Scotty, to really visualize it. I was in so much pain, I was throwing up. That's how much pain I was in from a 2 millimeter stone. That is as maybe thick as a quarter.
All right.
Not the size of a quarter. You look at the thickness of a quarter.
No, I got you. I got you, pal. No, I got you.
Yeah.
We're trying to teach how much people here, not push them away.
That's fair. That's fair. So I go to the ER for the kidney stone. I'm in immense lot of pain. They fill me up with drugs, as they should. And meanwhile, all this stuff is happening. My at the time fiance and all this family and all these people that are over at my house are trying to put together our flowers for our wedding and put together everything else because it's like
essentially trying to put together your wedding.
Yes. I mean, they were there to help out anyways, but definitely it was this thing of Ryan and Jesse are now busy. We need people to step up. Friday rolls around. I'm feeling better. Obviously, I left the ER. I never was truly admitted to the hospital. I just went to the ER. They just gave me drugs and whatnot. But I left late Thursday night. Woke up still with some pain, obviously, because at the time the CT scan showed that basically your urinary tract system is your kidney, the ureter, which is the pipe between the kidney and your bladder, and then your urethra, which will obviously pee out the rock. The CT scan showed that it was in my ureter, mostly towards my bladder, meaning I was most of the way through this.
Good.
Which
Thank
is
God.
fantastic news.
Here's a health class with Ryan Knightsey.
Yes. So Friday, I'm still in some pain, but we're trying to manage it with the meds and a heating pad and drinking a bunch of water and pineapple juice and all these sort of remedies to try to help bring this. Because at a certain point, at that point, all you have to do, Scotty, which is also the thing that sucks about kidney stones. All you have to do is just drink as much water to try to push the stone through your urinary tract system. Oh, it's trapped in the ureter. Well, he's got to keep drinking water, which will build up pressure, which will hurt, to try to push it down as far as you can, so that eventually it's in your bladder.
Of course, you're a pro in this, so you would know. Yes.
I'm a pro. Again, 3 and 5 years, still figuring out what the problem is.
Real bad.
Real bad. So Friday comes around. We do the rehearsal. Right before the rehearsal, I'm having immense pain in my side and in my ureter. Like immense pain, like bedridden, heating pad, like, oh, I'm in so much pain. Questions of whether or not I'm going to make it to the rehearsal start coming up. Jesse goes ahead, leaves me behind. My now, I guess brother-in-law. He's an in-law already, so I guess he's my brother-in-law. He comes in and he's like, I'm just going to hang out with Ryan. If Ryan starts feeling better, we'll drive him over to the rehearsal. As he arrives, I start feeling better. I start getting ready. We make it to the rehearsal. We then go to the rehearsal. Everything's great. The wedding coordinator told me that she understands she's had kidney stones. She had a 9mm kidney stone at one point. That requires Scotty.
I don't need it. No.
That's surgery. Is what that is.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I do the rehearsal, and that is great. I do the rehearsal dinner, and I make it through the rehearsal dinner, the speeches and everything. And by the time all the speeches are over and we start doing this welcome party concert that we had the idea of doing, I start getting pain again. So I rush out and leave to go to an Airbnb that I'm staying at Friday night before the wedding to try to feel better. Are you shocked at all by this? I haven't even gotten to the wedding, and this is everything that's happened in the week prior to the wedding.
This is bad.
This is real bad, right?
This is really bad.
Saturday, the big day.
This is a week ago, folks.
This is a week ago. Saturday, the big day. I have my engagements, and this is what I'm thinking about Friday night while in immense amount of pain. I have a groomsmen Saturday brunch.
You weren't thinking about what MJF would do at Full Gear?
Last of my mind. I was thinking about, oh man, I'm missing Lone Star Shootout right now.
See, you were thinking about something. Okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, while in immense pain, I have on Saturday a Saturday groomsmen brunch, the wedding, pictures afterwards, and then the reception, which is 6 to 10. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how much I'm going to get through this, right?
Hopefully the wedding.
Yeah, I'm going to do everything in my power to get to the wedding. But the photos afterwards, I might have to leave the reception early. Who knows about the brunch? I have no idea. I wake up Saturday morning, Scotty, and with pure love in my heart and pure adrenaline and heavy duty
in your soul,
heavy duty drugs, including Percocet,
adrenaline,
heavy duty drugs, adrenaline flowing through my soul, drugs flowing through my blood, and love flowing through my heart. I make it to every single event without any pain the entire day. No pain, not once. We get to the Sunday brunch. I'm feeling good. I have a little bit of pain, but we got a heating pad. It's totally fine. No big deal. I get to the wedding. It's a beautiful ceremony. Of course, I cried at the altar. You know me, Scotty. Of course, I'm an emotional bastard. Of course, I'm crying at the altar here. And it's a beautiful ceremony. The priest was fantastic. Everything went off without a hitch. I
ceremony too. If I was in as much pain as you were the past couple of days,
the priest did. There were laughs when Jessie was doing her vows, and she said "in sickness and in health," and she sort of stumbled. She's like "in sickness and in health," and she got a big laugh. and that was fantastic.
Pop the crowd. Big.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to the reception. I'm popping crowds left and right. Because marriage happens. It's fantastic. I love my now wife, my ex-girlfriend.
Jesus. I don't think that's what anyone calls.
And I'm off the market, ladies. I have a ring now. And we get to the wedding. It's fantastic. We do photos afterwards. I'm still feeling good. It's a little rainy this day now, and there's a whole thing. The rain was a process we had to figure out. Scotty, I have a whole cake story that I can unveil later on a different episode. The whole wedding cake is a whole different story. We get to the reception, and I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling okay. I don't really feel pain again until the actual proper dinner, but I just use a heating pad. I'm good. My best man is really on top of my drug cycle and is giving me drugs as soon as I need to take them. So I appreciate my best man, Matt, for that. We get to the reception, and you know me, Scotty, we got to do the pops. So during all this process, if you were able to make it, Scotty, you would have enjoyed this because we had our grand entrances. Everybody comes out for the grand entrances. And then, of course, we have our grand entrance playing, our music playing. And it is, of course, Jane by Jefferson Starship, Orange Cassidy's theme music. So we come out to that music, big pop from everybody. We go straight into the dances. I'm bawling like a baby. My mother's bawling during the mother-son dance because I did what was it? You'll Be in My Heart from by Phil Collins from the Tarzan movie.
Yeah. You didn't have to explain it after I heard this name, but yeah.
Well, I was explaining it for the audience. And then
for people at home.
For the people at home, the father-daughter dance
for people at home.
The father-daughter dance was a song called "Concerning Hobbits" from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's like the
Hobbits gave it away.
It's basically like the Hobbit song, I guess. I don't know if you can figure that one out. So beautiful ceremony. Everyone's crying. Everyone's having fun. I'm feeling great. I changed shoes. I got another pop from changing shoes. Don't worry about that.
Coming out soon.
I'm eating cake. I'm eating bread. I'm drinking wine. I'm having a grand old time. We're dancing the night away, Scotty. 2 hours of dancing. And we go and we leave. We drink at a local dive bar. And that's the night. I wake up Sunday morning. We have the Sunday brunch. Still on the adrenaline high. I'm giving people tours. I'm drinking champagne. I'm doing all this stuff. Well, maybe not. I wasn't drinking champagne. I was drinking orange juice. I am on drugs. And then people leave and I start feeling pain. So I get through the entire wedding, Scotty. Basically everything I need to do with no pain. If there was ever a miracle, it happened over the weekend. But now I'm happily married. It's been about a week. Nothing feels different. And I think that's a good thing.
I'll tell you what feels different. You weren't prepared for the show. I don't know what you're talking about.
That is fair. That is completely.
A lot of things are different on this side of the screen, Buckaroo.
That's fair.
But I'm happy you were able to get through pain and more pain. And
I should say, we're both Jesse and I are both very confident that I passed the stone officially on Tuesday. Because I haven't had any pain since Tuesday, and something definitely came out on Tuesday. Yeah. So just to give a little update, I am better. We gave it to the urologist. They think it's a stone too. They're checking it, scanning it to see what kind of stone it is. And at that point, I can adjust my diet or whatever I need to do from there. But yeah, we're on the right track to fix this thing.
Alrighty then. Well, that was a roller coaster of emotions here.
Tell me about it.
I can only imagine being the one in those shoes. We're a week removed.
We're a week removed. There was a chance we weren't going to get married, Scott.
The kidney stone isn't, but we are. The kidney stone is not a week removed, but we are. And
thankfully, you SP3, Trent, I got to thank all three of you guys for putting on a great show last week for Ring Post Radio.
Yeah. You know, some of us show up.
I'm
From what I just heard, there was no excuse.
That's fair.
You know, I'm gonna say it. If Ryan was dealing with that pain, he probably would have missed the show. What does that say about Ring Post Radio's future? Find out next week on another episode of Ring. Oh, we're not done. We haven't even done the show yet.
No, we haven't even started. We have so much show to get to.
I know. But overall, congratulations. Obviously, I'm happy you made it. I'm happy the adrenaline drove you through the wedding day. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then thankfully, it could have been bad, right? It could have been you woke up that next morning and you were just like in agony. So
yeah. That fully going to bed Friday night, Scotty, I fully thought that was going to be the reality. Is I was going to wake up in pain and be like, I don't know if I can, how much of this I can do. And like, I'm going to have to skip a bunch of my wedding.
Which saying that out loud is very sad. So thankfully you did not have to do that.
Exactly. I'm very gracious. I'm very happy. It made the day. It made a great story. It made the day better, I think, because it made me appreciate the day more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very happy. So, can we get a
What a story. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. What a story. I appreciate you telling that. And if it helps, I had nothing as exciting as that. So there you go.
That's fine. That's totally fine, Scotty. I'm glad it was a normal week for you.
Very, very normal week for me. Thanksgiving's coming up, huh?
Yeah, Thanksgiving's coming up. We're doing a show. We're doing next show next Sunday, right? We really talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm fine. I'm free. So
next Sunday isn't Thanksgiving. I want to ask you a few things though. Now that you're back on the wagon of pro wrestling. You know, you took off pretty much a week. It's fine. We won't blame you for it. I guess a wedding was important, plus kidney stone. You know, it's fine. It's fine. But you're back.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since then.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a real speed run of the things that you missed and your quick thoughts.
Okay. All right.
Now you're lucky. The Continental Classic starts this week, so we won't go through that yet.
Yeah.
Actually, we will. General thoughts right off the bat. How did you feel when you saw the announcement? Go.
You know, everybody in AEW wanted to do the G1, and Tony Khan thought to himself, "Why don't I bring the G1 here, and we'll just have our own G1." So we'll find out, I guess, if the Continental Classic is like the G1 or it's a wished G1. There's some announcements that happened last night at Full Gear that
my god,
I don't know how I feel about it. I like the participants so far. I'm excited to see 12 or 6, I guess, Bryan Danielson matches. Andrade, Mark Briscoe, Eddie Kingston. I'm excited to see.
So 5.
I thought it was 2 blocks of. I thought it was 12 people total.
Yeah, but he's one of the people, so that's 5 matches.
Oh yes, good point.
I did that exact math last week, and then someone was like, "Hey, you idiot!" So that's why I'm fixing it for you now.
I appreciate that. I'm excited to see all these matches with people. I think the lineup of 4 so far is interesting. I don't know about
start for me.
I don't know about the Triple Crown title. I don't know.
No. We'll get to that later, though. We get to that later. That's part of our preview. We got to talk. We got to preview a tournament that's incomplete. Love that. All right, Julia. WWE is interested in the strong women's champion.
I don't blame WWE for being interested in Julia. There was also the report that they're interested in Kazuchika Okada. Of course, as they should be interested in signing these people, because these people are fantastic wrestlers. Do I want Julia in WWE? Of course not. No, of course not. I can see why they're just going to make an all Joshi unit in WWE. I see what they're trying to do.
Doing a good job with that so far.
It's the same thing with the worries with Ospreay or any really like New Japan Stardom talent at this point is, and that's always been the thing with WWE talent, is that by going to WWE, they have to adjust their style and dial it back so much. And I think Julia's style is what makes her stand out so much. I think she would be fine and do well in WWE, but I don't want to see that. I obviously don't want to see that.
As a smart person once said, you'd be an idiot not to be interested in Julia. All right, that's it. We can get back to the regularly scheduled programming, which 20 minutes later, we finally get to.
Yeah, of course, we are talking about AEW Full Gear. Thank you, folks, for joining us on this show. 20 minutes in, we appreciate
20 minutes in, a kidney stone later, we are here.
We're here, folks. Again, thank you, Scotty, for doing the show last week. You are a fantastic co-host. Can't do the show without you.
I try my best to do things like that once in a while. I try to come through once in a while. I just want everyone to
And that's
know.
all that matters.
Ring Post Radio, for the most part, Ryan takes care of everything. I just show up. But lately, I've been holding my own with a few ideas and recording a podcast without you. So it's we're about 90-10% now.
It's certainly way more than that. And by that, I mean I have 99 and you have 1. Well, let's get to the show. AEW Full Gear, WWE Survivor Series. We'll, of course, be talking about those 2 shows. But, of course, I want to start off with the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. The 2023 class was officially announced this past, really, Saturday morning, late Friday night. Dave took forever to get that article out. It was announced that the new class is going to be Rocco and Perez, the tag team of tag teams before, basically the tag team before Bruno Sammartino, the beauty pair, Jackie Sato and Maki Ueda, Sergeant Slaughter, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, Tomohiro Ishii, Blue Panther, and George Kidd. They all made the 60% mark for all of the various voters for the Wrestling Observer. I should note also that beauty pair, only ones off this list that are the first ballot Hall of Famers. So they've officially become first ballot Hall of Famers and joined that exclusive club.
Yeah.
The people that were
already is too.
Jackie Sato.
Yeah.
That might be true. I have to look that up to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure you're right. The people that were out, I call these the outsiders, the outside 5 wrestlers or tag teams that were outside of getting in and probably getting in at some point. The Los Hermanos Diamita, Paul Orndorff, Young Bucks, Bobby Davis, and Roman Reigns. So, Scotty, I have a bunch more stats and stuff for us as we talk about this, but give me your thoughts on this year's class of the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame.
It's an odd one. That's for sure. Out of everyone that made it, one, I wouldn't vote in the UK if I had a vote. Like, admittedly, I just wouldn't allow myself to do that. I think I would have voted for 2 of the people that got it. Overall.
Which 2? I assume the beauty pair.
The beauty pair, and then the Rocca and
Perez.
Rocca and Perez. Just based off of the things I've listened to and the very little studying I have, because I don't have to study as much because I don't have a ballot yet. I'm waiting. But until I have to, I'm not going to study full in. But from what overall I've listened to about it, because I'm very interested in just certain subjects, and when you had the Young Bucks on there and the CM Punks and the Roman Reigns and the beauty pair and all these interesting things to me, I was very intrigued by what it would end up being this year. I think those first 2, the 2 tag teams are just so, or the 2 teams, they're just so fitting of what the Hall of Fame is supposed to be about. I'm shocked Sergeant Slaughter got in after all this time. I really am.
20 years on the ballot.
Like, that's crazy to me, but it gives hope for pretty much everyone, right? Like, to me, it would have been those 2 locked in, and then like we would have saw from there. But those are the 2 I would have picked personally out of the 6 that did make it, and that's because, one, I don't have the knowledge of George Kidd. Is it George Kidd?
Correct.
I would not have voted Sergeant Slaughter. You know my feelings about Tomohiro Ishii, and the list goes on and on.
George Kidd, if people don't know, he's sort of like the precursor to the British wrestling style.
Yeah.
Nowadays we think of Johnny Saint and everything like that. George Kidd was before that.
Yeah.
So that's the historical significance.
Dave never saw him.
Yeah, Dave never saw him. That's how old George Kidd is. Tomohiro Ishii, I'm glad you brought him up. He's a very interesting case because, like, everyone's talking about it. His case is like fully built off of like just work rate.
Yep.
Never won a world title, obviously, other than
never a top guy.
I think he's won the Rev Pro world title, but that doesn't really,
that doesn't matter.
Never been really a top guy, but basically known as not to you, Scotty, but to many other people as one of the best modern G1 wrestlers today.
Sure.
If you want to look at his drawing power in the G1, I guess you could study that.
There was great math to back this up. Like, if I were to go unbiased, I think he deserves probably a vote down the line. I just wouldn't put him in yet.
Yeah, I think he should definitely be on the ballot. It's just very interesting that he's gotten in.
He had like over 144 plus star matches or something.
Yeah,
which is obviously insane. And I will say this, no matter how my feelings are about Ishii, I do like the idea of match quality and in-ring work getting someone in, because I do think that overall, like, a lot of wrestlers maybe will be forgotten because of just having that, right? Like, it's a Hall of Fame, so the best of the best need to be in there. But Ishii is someone who was a big factor in many of the G1s that people love.
yeah,
Right? Like the G1 stretch in the 2010s that people just rave about. He's a big part of why it was so great for so many fans. So I appreciate that. And then he has matches outside of it. He's a great, you know what is interesting, and I didn't hear anyone really talk about this. He's a special trios wrestler. Like, I know this is like just another thing.
I think I mentioned I feel like I mentioned this on the podcast, like when we reviewed Power Struggle. I mentioned that I was like, I think he's one of the best trios wrestlers today.
Yeah, I think he fits. I think he's really been able to turn his late career into like this kind of like a feather in the cap for his Hall of Fame odds, right? Is this trios run where, whether he was with Bishamon or the Dream Team, he's able to really be a great addition to those two teams rather than feel like an outcast, if that makes sense. So I get why Ishii's in. I just would have waited a little bit longer. The good news, however, I will say about Ishii making it is that Shingo Takagi better be in within the next couple of years, because Shingo Takagi has accomplished way more and is just as good a wrestler, if not better. For me, he's better. He's a multiple-time Open the Dream Gate champion, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Multiple great tournament runs in the G1, Best of Super Juniors, King of Gate. List goes on and on. So, with Ishii getting in, it opens avenues for so many other wrestlers, and I think that's probably my favorite part about him getting in.
Same thing with the Beauty Pair getting in, is that opens up the Japan category immensely.
Yes, that one had to happen. I don't know if you like how much of their history you know, but like they were essentially they were the Crush Gals before the Crush Gals to like an extreme. Like they were the first boom period for Joshi, essentially.
Ooh, okay.
To a point that will never be reached again, mind you, because they were just that popular because of all the many things they did. I'm just happy that they were first ballot, because that's their historic respect. Now, ultimately, this year's class, I think, will be about more who didn't get in at the end of the day. But
yeah, so let's talk about that. Of course, there were people dropped off the ballot. I'm going to address those first. So these people got less than 10% of the vote, or they were dropped off for next year's ballot due to the 15-year, 50% rule. We have the Von Brauners, Seth Rollins, which I think will come back on the. He'll come back on the.
He'll come back.
Prada Morgan, Mike Marino, the DDT Booker, Senshiro Takagi, Tiger Jeet Singh, Big Daddy, Jackie Paulo, Kendo Nagasaki, Hurricane Ramirez, and Johnny Saint. I don't think Johnny Saint's 15 years yet, but I gotta double check that. But he wrote Johnny Saint here. Other people that didn't make it, we talked about the outsiders: Los Hermanos Diamita, Paul Orndorff, Young Bucks, Bobby Davis, who was like one of the preeminent heel managers in like the 50s, I think it was. Roman Reigns, the top 5 people there, they all made it. They all didn't make it. They all got above 50%, but below 60 in that awkward age. Roman Reigns and Young Bucks, I would say, are the big names right now going around of people that didn't get in. Yeah. Roman Reigns, I believe this was his second year on the ballot. He had 31% of the vote last year, 52.4% this year. Massive jump for a guy that's wrestled
those 11 matches he wrestled this year. Changed everything.
He got 21% more in 7 matches. That's a worker right there. That's a Hall of
Yeah.
Famer right there.
So I do want to talk a little bit about Roman. I think one, he's a Hall of Famer, and I think he will. Here's the thing with Roman, right? It's taken time for him to get here, but at the end of the day, if you are the top guy in WWE for a decade, you probably should be in a Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. And I understand, like, had he never got to where he was in the beginning of 2021, let alone now, he probably wouldn't be in, but since he has, it's been like night and day in terms of this guy. Like, he is a draw in terms of merch, he is a draw in terms of TV now, he is a draw in tickets. He's main evented so many WrestleManias. That matters, right? Like, that matters. At the end of the day, those are things that matters, especially to voters. He is on a reign. He has a title reign to his name that will never be touched again in WWE history, I don't think. And ultimately, when it ends, it's going to do huge business for them, whenever that may be. So I think one more main event at WrestleMania will be the feather in the cap that gets him in. It will be the final, okay, I have to vote for this guy. I understand why he's not in yet. I think one more year of Roman Reigns, however that year looks, will be enough. But I would have gave him my vote based off of the modern thing. I think he only got like 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, votes in that section. He would have been one of them for me, because I think being a top guy in WWE, being the top draw, helping, I understand it's the brand now, but being the top guy when they got re-popular again, like, that matters.
Yeah, what you're describing is I think one of the main reasons a lot of people vote for Roman Reigns is that he's the top guy of the top promotion. Surely, with John, you look at John Cena, Hogan, Rock, Austin,
Yeah,
all these people. There's something to that. I think the detractors to it are, number one, work rate. That's the subjective part. A lot of people don't necessarily
sure.
like Roman's work right now. I've heard the arguments of um, same thing you're talking about, that the brand is over. So how do you judge how much of a ratings mover he is?
That goes to all of wrestling now, though.
That goes for, yeah, it goes for AEW. They announced they sold like 60,000 tickets or whatever for Wembley and AEW without a single
Yeah,
match announced. That's just the brand.
yeah,
Um, Roman Reigns is an interesting case because it is like, there are instances where you can look at the 3 or 4 house shows he worked. He only moves like they announce him and he moves like 1,000 tickets, and then they
yeah.
announce
He's not a
John
big house
Cena.
show mover.
No, and I think that's something that people use as a detractor, right? Is like, he's not a big ticket mover in terms of
Sure,
that sense. The other one I think people have heard is just the sort of
it's
um,
helped live TV though.
he's helped live TV as well. Well, that's one of the arguments I've also heard as the against him argument is um, he's wrestled 7 matches. He's been on TV obviously more than 7 times, but he's only
Yeah,
wrestled
but
7 matches.
Lesnar's a Hall of Famer.
The argument there is how much. I don't necessarily know if I agree with it, but I'm just saying that the argument there was how much of an actual TV ratings mover is he if he's barely on television. And it's like,
Sure.
and it's like WWE has their best year with Roman a lot of the time. And I
I
think
get
I
that.
think that's a fair point. I don't necessarily know if I agree with it,
I
but I think it's
get
a fair
that.
point.
But what's the main story that has led to WWE having this boom? It
It's the
is
bloodline, and
Roman's
it
story.
involves Roman's story.
Yeah. So, like, I get where people are coming from. And this is like a devil's advocate thing at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, like, he is inevitably going to get in, as he should. Like, without the run at the top that he's had here, no.
Yeah.
But he's had it. It's done. It's over. Like, he could lose the title tomorrow and never wrestle again, and he would be a Hall of Famer in my book.
I want to look at the different categories. I looked at the top 10 people that were voted on in each category. Of course, Dave has it as reporters, historians, active professionals, wrestlers, commentators, whoever's actively working, and then retired professionals, right?
Yeah.
Um, of these top 10 people that they voted in. So, for
Yeah.
instance, reporters, they voted for Ishii, Slaughter, Bucks, Big Daddy, Paul Orndorff, Ted Turner, Rocca and Perez, Blue Panther, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, and Jim Johnston. I'm not going to read all of them, but that's the example for there. Of that top 10, the reporters and the historians voted 5 of the 7 people that eventually became Hall of Famers this year. Slightly different which the 5 were, but they voted for 5 of them. Active professionals voted for 4 of the 7 people in their top 10, and retired professionals only voted for 1 of the people that made into this year's Hall of Fame, that being Jack and Jerry Briscoe. Everyone else they voted for did not make the Hall of Fame, in the top 10 at the very least, which I think is interesting. Of those outsiders, of the outside 5 we talked about, the reporters had 2 of the 5 outsiders, historians had 3, active professionals had 1, and retired professionals had 4 of the 5 outsiders, that being Roman Reigns, and this is in order, Roman Reigns, Los Hermanos Diamita, Paul Orndorff, and Bobby Davis. I bring this all up because the other people that people are talking about beyond Roman Reigns was the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks did not make the top 10 of historians, active professionals, or retired professionals in the voting category. They made 3rd in the reporters behind Ishii and Sergeant Slaughter. And with them gone, of course, their Young Bucks are probably going to eat up more votes next year. But I just think that is fascinating. If we want to look at it more closely, for historians, Young Bucks were 15th. For active professionals, Young Bucks were 13th, which is basically around the same. And for retired professionals, this is the one that hurts the most. They were, if I'm not mistaken, unranked in retired professionals. So every retired person in the business doesn't give a shit about old Matt and Nick Jackson. So that's the most interesting part. A lot of the conversation was everyone thinking that the Young Bucks would be slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famers. They've won the tag award countless times. That's to the point of, should we rename it the Young Bucks Award or whatever? They have a historical significance with being part of the team that launches AEW. They have historical significance for being one of the largest shows outside the WWE with All In, the first show. They are obviously one of the best tag teams, but obviously with historians, people in the business today, and retired people especially, not a lot of votes for the old Young Bucks. That's to me very interesting. I'm not really surprised about retired people in the business. You know, you look at Jim Cornette as the flagstone of that, of the flag bearer of that, of people hating on the Young Bucks. I don't blame it. But historians and active professionals kind of shocks me a little bit. And that kind of, I think, also goes into the fact of the Young Bucks have never been to the WWE. I mean, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, they've all gotten more votes by active professionals than the Young Bucks did. CM Punk was number 10th out of the active professionals. Roman Reigns was 7 for active professionals. WWE is obviously mattering more. Same thing with historians. Same thing with retired professionals voting Randy Orton number 1 in their category. What? Randy Orton? They got Edge in here too. Roman Reigns in the top 10. So yeah, it's interesting to me. I think it's the bias of they're not in WWE, so it doesn't matter as much. They don't necessarily care about the indies and Ring of Honor. A lot of these older voters. And then just, yeah, I mean, retired professionals, obviously, I think there's obviously the lack of bias, I guess, the anti-bias, the hate of they're ruining the way wrestling has worked for dozens of years and yada, yada, yada. So I think it's shocking by that. What do you think the Young Bucks' chances are for next year? I think they're eventually going in, but unless the reporters really show out, and unless we flip some historian active professionals and retired professionals, I don't know if next year's as much of a lock as people think.
Yeah, I mean, what they need 5% or so to get in. So it's not like it's millions of votes that they need to get, but they still need to get votes nonetheless. I think with the Young Bucks, we are realizing that
4.9% votes. That's what they need.
It's going to happen. It just might take a little bit longer because of all the different personnel that vote for this award. It's not just the reporters or personnel per se. It is, like you said, the wrestlers and those who are part of the business. And at the end of the day, this we're talking about a tag team whose whole slogan is called "Killing the Business." After all, and I think there is a recency bias as well that some people may vote with. Right, with Roman Reigns, he gets 23% more than he had last year because of what he's done over the past year, while the Young Bucks have done pretty much next to nothing over the past year outside of rumors coming out that they're fighting with CM Punk, right?
Which
Like,
is
that's about it.
interesting. Which is interesting because for a lot of these historians, active professionals, and retired professionals, CM Punk got more votes in all those categories than the Young Bucks.
Makes you think. And I think CM Punk should be in too, by the way. I think they both should be in. And they ultimately, I think both will be in eventually. But at the end of the day, with the Young Bucks, right? It's a matter of when will people realize that, okay, I need to take my own bias out of this and I need to vote for one of the great tag teams of all time, one of the most popular tag teams of all time. Like you said, multi-time tag team award tag team of the year award winners, multi-time tag team champions. They've been successful everywhere they've gone. They've been draws for Ring of Honor, they've been draws for AEW, they've been they were the indie act for a long time. I think these all matter because this is a wrestling Hall of Fame. This isn't a WWE Hall of Fame. If you want a WWE Hall of Fame, they have their own. So that's the ultimate way I look at it. I do think it might take another year or two, depending how next year goes. Though next year they do benefit from not too much competition being added. Now, Cody Rhodes will be a very interesting case next year. He's going to be the most interesting case next year for me, just because he's likely, knock on wood, going to add another WrestleMania main event to his name.
And potentially a title win and beating Roman.
A potential world title reign and becoming the face of the company officially. So I do think that's interesting because he has all the Young Bucks stuff too, right? Great AEW was part of this big change. Plus going back to WWE and having a main event run after a previously just nothing run, essentially his first time around. So I do think that'll be interesting. But other than him, I don't see too many people hurting their cases. Now we'll wait and see. I do wonder what Cody gets next year, just because maybe they give him more credit than maybe they do the Young Bucks at the end of the day when it comes to AEW.
You talking about it added to next year's ballot? We have a long list of people in various categories. WWE's Asuka. I imagine she's in the modern US Canada category. Zane Breslov, Psycho Clown returns. El Dandy, George Gordenko, Gran Hamada returns. I believe not in Japan, but now Mexico. Samoa Joe returns. Kento Miyahara, Cody Rhodes, Yoshihiro Takayama returns. Kevin Owens, Zack Sabre Jr., Masquerita Sangrata, the Usos. Imagine a world where the Usos get in before the Young Bucks. Volador Jr., I believe, returns.
WrestleMania.
Kochi Yoshizawa, Bray Wyatt, and Sami Zayn. I agree. I think Cody Rhodes right there is the most interesting one. He doesn't really have like longevity, right? Like AEW was never world champion, actively wasn't world champion, but it was a top star in AEW, obviously. In WWE, a top star in WWE as well.
Top draw for AEW. Top draw for WWE now.
And if he can beat Roman, then that adds a lot to it. Everything pre AEW, pre Indie Ring of Honor stuff, that WWE mid card run tag team.
He wouldn't even be on the ballot.
No, he wouldn't even be on the ballot. So he's an interesting case. I think the problem with his case is that he needs more time. I don't think he gets voted in first year. I think he just needs more time. He is currently in his run.
I think it'll be very interesting because I could see old professionals like him. We'll wait and see, though. I really don't know, but I do think that the Hall of Fame is an interesting discussion every year, though. I don't study it as hard because one, I don't have a ballot, so I don't feel the need to spend my time doing so. But I do like the discussions that come from it. I like listening to Dave talk about it. I like listening to certain people give their thoughts on it. There's a lot of people on this ballot right now that I think have cases to get in that, hopefully they can in the future. But that's the point of this. For some people it takes time, like you said earlier. Sergeant Slaughter, 20 years later, he's in. So some people come around. Like for Becky Lynch, for example, who's really low.
Yeah.
I think she's someone that once she's done and people think back, she'll benefit from it because she's helped make women's wrestling very important. Dave had a great point. She's been the top star. She main evented WrestleMania. She's pretty much helped readjust the look of women's wrestling in America.
Yeah.
So I think people like that will be great down the line, but I know a lot of people probably came to the show wanting to listen to Full Gear review, and we've went 45 minutes without giving the people what they want, so we should probably do that.
One last thing before we go about Becky Lynch, because I'm glad you brought her up. My thing about Becky Lynch is, and I don't want her to separate and do anything like that. I think it's important to just keep her in, but I think the problem with her is that she is being compared against other men in the modern U.S. category, modern U.S. Canada category. So it's like longevity. It's like Becky Lynch's reign as top star in WWE is only really like what, 2-3 years maybe. Yeah. Whereas like everybody else isn't. Like that's as long of a reign maybe as Bill Goldberg, really.
Yeah.
Like,
she ultimately, like, she's in a category of her own, and like, so she's like I don't want to say pioneer, but she's a legitimate game changer that a lot of these other stars, like, they didn't change things like she did.
Well, that's my point, is that like I think
it's a hard thing.
In a weird way, it's a weird way you can almost compare Becky Lynch to Bill Goldberg in terms of the length of the reign and how hot they were for that short amount of time. But because Becky Lynch is a woman in a predominantly man sport and was able to break out to become one of WWE's top stars, matters so much more. She
was literally the star they built around at one point.
Yes.
The first ever in WWE history.
Yeah.
But
so
hopefully good merch sales back, like, come on. I think like I said, that'll be one that she'll benefit long term rather than short term.
I fully agree. Well, let's get to AEW Full Gear, of course, the thing that people showed up for. And let's talk about it.
Probably should like retweet this. Now talk about Full Gear, because
you probably, if you don't mind, I say go for it. I'll prep up Full Gear. Excuse me. AEW Full Gear. Obviously, an interesting show, I'll say the least. Attendance with 12,904 people out of the Kia Forum in Los Angeles, California. An interesting show, I'll say the least. I'm looking over at this cage match, and it's like all over the place. We won't talk about 0 Hour, but let's go straight into the main event, because I think that is worth. Thank you. That is worth the. I think we have a sound cue for a good way to bring this up. So give me a moment. I'll set you up for the sound cue, Scotty. We'll talk about the main event first. MJF versus Jay White for the AEW World Title. Very convoluted booking wise. We'll talk about it, but I think if we had to sum up the World Title match in one word, Scotty, if there was a word that MJF used a lot too, what word would that be? Do you think? And is that too ham-fisted, folks? Leave a comment below.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
MJF versus Jay White, 30 minutes. Cage match right now has a 3.73 out of 10 out of 197 votes. What did you think about this, I'll say, highly controversial main event?
It is the most frustrating main event match I have watched in a very long time. I won't say ever, because like I can't, my brain doesn't work that way. I couldn't tell you if it's ever. I've been frustrated many times, but I've never been so frustrated with a story, a match, because I said to you early in the night, they're gonna kill Jay White. I know some people are saying they didn't kill him, blah blah blah. This was a result that it is going to be hard for him to come back from. Very hard for him. And I'm just sitting there stewing because I know he's not winning. Like, everyone knows he's not winning this match. Yeah. And ultimately, the main problem with this match that had some good wrestling in it, admittedly, like, it had some exciting moments, is that they did things just to do things. Not because they were necessary, not because we had to, just because they can. There was no reason at all to make this match Adam Cole versus Jay White for half the night. No reason at all. But you know what? They did it because they could.
There was a less than zero chance, I think, with Adam Cole coming out in his gear, and I would have sat there like, oh, he brought his gear. like we're at the point now of like the logic gaps in the storyline where it was like, I'm expecting this guy to bring his gear despite not wrestling or having a planned match during the show. Luckily that didn't happen, but continue.
I tweeted this out. There is, if you know, the refs and the officials trying to stop MJF and not Adam Cole is funny if you think about it for 2 seconds. But if you think about it for any more than 2 seconds, you get really freaking annoyed with this entire match and story. And that's pretty much what happened to me. When MJF came out, and I was just like, why are we doing this? Like, I get an injury angle, right? Because this is a thing you do, and like with you're wrestling 2 matches, I get it. But they ruined it for me, like, instantly, because they went through all these hoops to get to exactly what we all expected them to, which was MJF versus Jay White. Like, I said when they did the injury angle, oh man, this is gonna make me really upset when Jay White still loses this at the end. And then they made it worse.
Even
They wrestled for 30 minutes.
Before we making it worse, can we talk about this injured angle?
It's terrible.
We already believed that Jay White was going to lose this match. Yeah. By adding an injury angle on top, it makes his loss look worse.
So much worse.
He's now a scrub that can't beat a crippled man in a basically at one point a 3-on-1 match.
And here's what they tried to do in the match. We're just gonna get to the match. They tried to make it seem like, oh, you know, MJF did all these things, right? With you know, he used the ring and Adam Cole helped him. But it doesn't matter. They wrestled for 30 minutes. MJF kicked out of a title shot to the head.
Yeah.
He kicked out of all these different things. The only thing he didn't do is nuke the Blade Runner. I was shocked. I thought for sure we were going to kill that too. We were killing the rest of Jay White. Why not just kill the finish as well? It was so infuriating. And I'm watching this main event. And I'm like, imagine if they didn't do the injury angle and they just wrestled this main event. Like Jay White worked the leg the entire match instead of like have this. Oh my God, it would have probably been great. But I couldn't get past that because I was so angry at what they had already done, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, Jay White's gonna look like an idiot. And the more the match went on, the worse Jay White looked. And like MJF, it's easy to tell that this is his hands over every little bit of it because he defends it with every part of his being.
He came out crying to the presser.
Yeah, good for you, buddy. I came out crying when the match, was halfway through. So congratulations. I'm sure. I hope you're not. I hope you're not hurt. I really don't, because if he did hurt his hip, that sucks. But still, it's like we're overcomplicating the easiest storyline.
If you hurt your hip, don't do a random ass high spot of a
shout out Myron Reed, by the way.
Yeah, if you hurt your hip or whatever, then maybe next time don't do a random ass high spot that doesn't make sense in the flow of the match.
No, not at all. How were you able to jump with that leg? There are questions to be asked here that we are not asking, because this match left the idea of what's the word that I want to say? It left being about the actual match before the bell even rang. I couldn't sit there and focus. I just couldn't. I'm watching this match and I just have every thought in my mind of Jay White's screwed. Overall the group's screwed by default, right? There's so many things wrong with this for me.
And it was so ridiculous of the setup that even the crowd.
This wasn't WWE. by the way. This wasn't WWE booking.
No,
They wouldn't do this.
Yeah, WWE doesn't have this much
The
logic.
Bloodline's jealous at the overcomplications.
This is WCW is what this is. We fully reached that point. It was so convolutedly overbooked, Scotty, that the crowd was like, well, MJF can't win at this point. Surely it wouldn't make logical sense for Jay White to lose here. Surely something has to happen. Oh, here's our first ref bump. Let's look towards the entrance. Do we see the devil coming down? Nope. Okay. Oh, a second ref bump.
Never
all right.
Showing up. Man, that was even worse.
The crowd actively turning away from the match, which is a full-on Bloodline thing as well. All right, we know an interference is coming.
At least Bloodline would have the interference.
A great point. At least the Bloodline interferes in the goddamn match. Gwyn Evans, I don't know if you're pronouncing the first name right. I apologize. Jay taking 30 minutes to battle against a one-legged guy and his one-legged friend. And then earlier tonight, Jay's friends, the Gun Club, lose to said one-legged friend's music.
Yep. I just, it's so frustrating. And I'm watching this all unfold. I'm like, how are we having this an hour after we had what we had, right? With Swerve and Hangman. It's like, how is this the same company?
I'm glad you brought that up, because this is a very minute issue I have with the main event as well, which is something we've talked about before. This should not. if you swapped the Texas Death Match and this World Title match, and put the Texas Death Match have the title on it, makes more sense. It's more believable. Yada yada yada. This works better without the World Title. It would also work in order of the card, because an hour ago we saw two men turn themselves into a bloody pulp and fight through so much pain, and then you get this main event where it's MJF and the commentary is like, I don't know how MJF is going to fight through this knee pain. I was like, I just saw two men take themselves to the goddamn limit in a blood feud for the ages. One of the best, most brutal matches I've seen in AEW history. And now we're questioning if MJF's leg can make it through. If he can't make it through, he's a scrub. Yeah. Because Adam Page over here and Swerve Strickland are able to make through 30 minutes, almost 2 seconds off from the main event, 30 minutes of torture.
JD Oliva, who has been on the show before, tweeted, "Oh, it's time for the main event," and I was like, "No, this is the second dark match after after the true main event, because it's just I'm so frustrated."
We got to shout out Dave first. Dave had the tweet of the night.
Oh yes, he did.
Dave saying whatever they do for the main event is next. Great, yes. a great tweet, right, Dave?
I wish they wrestled straight up so badly, because if they wrestled straight up and they did a lot of these things, I think a lot of people would be walking away saying, "Wow, what a great main event!" Blah 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 blah. But instead,
or maybe not even great main event, but not actively.
Some people would have said a great main event.
I can agree with that. I can agree.
Like it would have been, it would not have been bombed.
That's fair. That's fair.
It probably would have, on Cage Match got like 7 point something, and we would all been fine, and we would all went home and got over it.
Yeah.
Instead,
it's slightly disappointing, maybe, but otherwise good.
Sure, slightly disappointing, because I think, like I tweeted this on during the match. I said six months ago, if you told me we were getting MJF versus Jay White in the main event of pay-per-view for a world title, I would have told you that could have been like one of the best matches of the year. And instead, we were doing all this bullshit.
This guy wrestled Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match. What, last year?
This year.
I apologize.
At Revolution.
That was Revolution this year. You're 100% right. You wrestled. What happened with that MJF to now? This guy wrestled Kenny Omega on Collision a couple weeks ago. What are we putting this in?
It doesn't make sense to me. And I just think it's him.
It is.
Like it's just him, and the way he wants this character to be portrayed, It is like Hogan, Cena to the max of like, but it's a super worker sometimes. Like it's ridiculous. It's not fitting of today. And here's how I will leave it. Watch Cody Rhodes and how he wrestles as a babyface. Watch MJF how he wrestles as a babyface. Night and day.
Yeah.
Night and day. Cody clearly did not teach him that. Cody learned from Dusty. MJF is learning from Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Ric Flair. Not Ric Flair, probably. I have no idea. Ric Flair was heel, so not.
No, I want to fight against that. I mean, fuck Ric Flair, but this idea of like after the match, he goes to the ramp and says, "AEW, this is the home of professional wrestling," and all this stuff. I'm like, bro, you are the reason sports entertainment is filtered throughout this company right now. You are not the pinnacle of professional wrestling, which is the same insult that happened in the Daniel Garcia match to build that up is, am I going to get the professional wrestler? Because this is professional wrestling. You are not. This is not professional wrestling. This feels contrived. This feels overly booked, overly scripted. We can feel the beats coming. The only beat that didn't happen was an interference. So I guess you swerved us on that one.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
What's that?
Samoa Joe versus MJF and Kenny Omega versus MJF happened in the middle of Adam Cole versus MJF and Jay White versus MJF.
Yeah.
Talk about night and day matches and the character work and everything like that. Like it is not even remotely the same. And now like at whatever, like I'm sure MJF will get mad at people again and so on and so forth. We'll keep teasing the 2024 thing that doesn't exist, by the way. So just let's get over that. Anyways, AEW signed the biggest free agent of 2024, even if it was true. So they'll be happy either way. But I just need him to lose the belt. And after last night, here's how I think. I think Swerve Strickland deserves to be the next AEW World Champion.
I'll take Adam Page too. Either one of them deserve it. Last night.
But I think Samoa Joe needs to be the next world champion because that's immediate and that's the soonest. That's where I'm at. I think if I had the book, I would be setting Swerve up for World's End and winning, but I don't think they're doing that clearly with Samoa Joe and Wardlow in the picture. Which, oh my God, I can't even imagine how that goes.
I'm pretty sure I know what the World End. I think we're going to get Swerve and Adam Page again at World's End. I think that's going to be a 3 stages of hell match.
You won't hear me complain.
They're bringing up hell. Swerve has now beaten Adam Page twice. Adam Page can get all of his wins back if not all of his wins back, but he can get the ultimate win if a 3 stages of hell match. It makes sense. It calls back to Swerve Strickland's bloodiest match in Lucha Underground. So I think
ultimately the complaint here is they need to fix this. They need to not give their world champion the entire book.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around that of that meeting, right? The meeting that happened post Dynamite a couple weeks ago. That doesn't seem like it changed anything, by the way. Where apparently one of the things said in the said meeting was something along the lines of MJF can't put over other people because he's not over.
Yeah.
Which is a great point. He's not over. He's not over. He might be over in the buildings, but he's drawing less money. And I would also argue he's not over because the crowd looked dead as hell in the main event.
The crowd was going crazy though for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, because stuff was actually happening.
And he is the top merch seller, which we just used as multiple factors in the Hall of Fame conversation.
Well, you know my thoughts on merch selling is this is not a t-shirt company, so I don't give a shit about merch.
It is a t-shirt company. That's how they open.
My ultimate point is that I lost my point. I lost my train of thought.
That's my fault.
It's all right, Scotty. Yeah, it's just it's that he's not over enough to give a rub to anybody else because he needs to be more over. And it's like, well, then yeah, then I think the honest thought there is okay. Then we should take the title off of MJF because he needs to get a more over to get the title and give more rubs again.
Yeah.
Instead, the thought was, so what we need to do is have you beat more stars to become more over. And it's like I can see that logic, but as it's been proven, it's not working. It isn't working in Roman Reigns' case in WWE. He's actively hurting people. MJF isn't getting anybody over.
I will argue though, when Roman Reigns loses, it will do a lot.
That is true, but that is when he ultimately loses the title. Winning in defeat, is such a fallacy in wrestling that is only in the past decade. It feels like it only has really worked on a major level with Daniel Bryan.
Other than that, Swerve and Hangman do that.
And that's fair, but that's not for a world title, and that's for a blood feud and all this stuff. We've seen Chris Jericho, Action Andretti. Action Andretti looked great in defeat. He won a contract in defeat. All this nonsense,
he
right?
Won that match.
Whatever. You get my point. Don't look at the details. Don't read the details. But the idea of if you're in a long-term sense, it doesn't work. Maybe you could do it on a short term or a guy looks good in defeat, but ultimately it doesn't. It just gives them a little bit of a rub, not a full rub or anything like that. MJF beating everybody is just going to make everyone else go bad when he's not over, especially winning in defeat. It doesn't mean anything because MJF doesn't mean anything. He's not over. Gwyn Evans, he's not over as a face because he sucks as a face. He's trying to be everything for everybody. He's high spot Myron Reed. He's 95 Hulk Hogan. He's freaking Super Cena. He's everything for everybody, and that's what he wants to be. But because he wants to be everything, just like this sheer amount of low blows that happened last night, if you're trying to do everything, if it happens all the time, then none of it matters. None of it matters. You're not anything. You can't be world champion. You can't put people over. And by beating everyone, you're just going to make everyone else look, in Jay White's case, look like a freaking moron. And you're going to hurt your company even more. When is he going to lose this title? Right now, it looks like, I don't know, All In next year against Ospreay. That's all I got.
I think he loses the title a lot sooner than that.
I pray to God he loses the title a lot sooner than that.
But yeah, he ultimately we talked about this a few weeks ago, like the problems with AEW. We tossed all these things out there. Ultimately, after watching last night, while I had problems with other things, a few other things, the big picture for a lot of people is just this. It is MJF in the World Championship, because at the end of the day, a company is as strong as their world champion.
Yeah, and people enjoyed it. People liked the main event.
Some people did, and you know what? That's, like I said, somewhere in there was a really good match that I couldn't focus on. You know why? Because I was infuriated for the entire match. I don't think this was like a dud or anything, like the match itself. If I look at it in that way.
Cage match says 3.73. That's essentially a 1.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, it wasn't like that bad. The story was right.
Yeah,
the match itself was.
I thought we were here. We want more stories in AEW. I thought this is what people wanted.
I got my story 2 matches prior. Also, losing in defeat or winning in defeat. I watched Will Ospreay versus Shota Umino. I know what that looks like. Just happened. Shooter comes out of it looking better. It's just so simple.
But he comes out of it looking better because fucking Will Ospreay is the best wrestler and one of the most over people in that company. Not MJF.
Pay a little respect to Shota's performance, please.
Also true. But you got my point.
The performance also matter. To get someone over in defeat is a factor of both sides need to work together.
Kenny Omega's great at it.
Truthfully, this entire match felt like it was MJF working with MJF, and Jay White was just, hey, we need to do this.
This guy had one of the best matches in the Tokyo Dome this year. this year. I haven't rated my matches on Full Gear yet, but this guy, I gave the only 5-star match in my year this year so far, and I know that's gonna upset people. In the Tokyo Dome,
Psychotic,
I know, psychotic.
yeah.
I gotta look back in the match and readjust probably. But right now it stands. The only 5-star match I given out was Jay White, and here he is, put it in a dog shit performance that felt like he could have been any mother trucker out there instead of Jay White. His performance didn't matter. He made everything more believable, things that he was doing
He's
more
so
believable.
good.
He's very good at it. But the crowd doesn't care. They're waiting for ref bumps to see the devil show up, and then they don't even get that payoff. So what the hell are we doing?
No, they don't. They don't. We can move on.
We'll go back to the opener, I guess. We'll go down the card. Six-man tag team match. Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting defeat. I didn't realize they have a full-on name according to Cage Match. The Patriarchy, Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne.
Yeah, I thought this was a good start to the show. Sting trios matches do well. Crowd was hot for it.
Solid opener for sure. Crowd
was hot for it. They did the match perfectly. They had Darby take the abuse so that Edge and Sting could shine.
That was I think it was a choke slam
onto the apron.
Oh my god.
I was talking to a friend about it, and they were like how they were talking to one of their friends who only watches pay-per-views. Like that's all they watch for wrestling, and they were in shock by that bump. And I was like, tell them it's like the 20th worst bump of Darby's year.
What sucks about that bump is it made the Adam Page Swerve Strickland DVD bump onto the concrete block
seem normal
because Darby sold it like death.
Yeah. Well, I think Darby's was less safe.
Well, agreed. Like in a weird way, I agree.
Chuck, so I get it, but yeah, this match was perfectly executed. Darby takes a lot of the abuse, and then the baby faces go over. Christian played his role to perfection, just sprinting away like a cartoon bad guy, where he's just like, get away from me. Like, I think they're doing. I complained a little bit about how this story shifted the past couple weeks, but I felt like this match helped get it back on track. You felt the energy for Edge and Christian in the ring, and I think that's the most important part for when we get to World's End. Is that these two, like, people want to see these two face off, and truthfully, Christian's probably going to give Edge one of Edge's best matches since coming back. For me, he's got to beat the Edge and Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell match from Once Upon a Time, which I don't know if they can do, but they're going to try. And I'm sure they probably will have a stipulation, truthfully, because I just can't see them wrestling straight up.
Yeah, I think Adam Copeland's refusal of the call of hurting Christian for the last couple of weeks was an interesting angle that I don't think quite worked, because now that he
want to see them fight.
You want to see them fight. It's wrestling. You want to see them fight. And that refusal to call, where it makes sense in storytelling, and writing TV or movies, where it makes sense there. In wrestling, it doesn't work all the time. And this one, I don't think it fully worked, because once you got them in the ring, I don't necessarily think it deserved a holy shit chant or whatever.
No, I was like, I've seen them in the ring before, but that's fine.
but the idea is still there of like, you now want to see them wrestle, and if we get this one-on-one match at World's End, then I think that makes sense. I don't think they touched once in this match. I'm trying to recall. I don't think they did. But ultimately, it's like, maybe hit him once, but not enough. Ric Flair got involved in the match too.
Yeah, Ric Flair fucking sucks, bro. Hate that guy. Christian Cage is a baby face.
The Ric Flair low blow from Christian Cage, the first of the night.
First of the night, the most effective of the night, because I cheered. I think the one thing I will say about this is that in kayfabe, how unfair these teams are.
What do you mean?
Like, how is Christian Cage like, yeah, my team's Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne, and I'm going against Sting, Edge, and Darby Allin. Like, what an L for the heel. Yeah. It's like, I have no defense. Like, that's why he ran away. Good for Nick Wayne, though, right? He's in there with
Yeah.
some of the top stars.
What was he, 19 years old? 18-year-old Nick Wayne? He's in there with
Yeah.
Sting. Did you see that Nick Wayne bump on the guardrail when Sting threw him into it very
Yeah,
early
that
on in
was
the match?
crazy. That was
Sting
good.
was just sort of like, "Whoa, kid, you don't got to bump that hard for me. I appreciate it, but whoa,
Yeah.
hold on."
He's like, all right, cool. But yeah, hot start. This is how you should open a show, I think.
I
It
agree.
was nice to see a Sting match open a show like this.
I fully agree. So that he can quickly go to bed afterwards. Oh, and he can quickly go to bed, and Darby Allin can quickly go in that red eye to Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that was happening this week. He's climbing Mount
That's
Everest.
this week.
Well, he, according to Tony Schiavone, he has a red eye after this match to fly to Nepal to get prepared for the Mount Everest thing.
Oh Jesus. That was next year.
I thought it was too, but I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken, or maybe Tony Schiavone didn't make me understand it. But if that's happening now, it's like, will this be the last ever Darby Allin match? I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. So I'm fascinated. But well, anyways, AEW International Title match. Orange Cassidy defeats Jon Moxley. Of course, Orange Cassidy gets defends his international title, but gets that win back against Jon Moxley as well. What do you think about this match? I think I like this match more than you did. So why did you not really?
I was so underwhelmed by this match.
Underwhelmed. Why were you underwhelmed?
Well, because they had a great, fantastic main event at All Out.
Yeah.
And this just didn't hit any of those marks for me. Like it was.
I agree. I like the match, but I also agree that
For me, I felt like I was just watching Moxley no sell a lot of things, and then Cassidy finally got the upper hand because there was a turnbuckle, and that didn't do it for me. I thought the ending was kind of anticlimactic. So yeah, I was just overall let down by it. Like that's all I remember is Orange Cassidy offense and the turnbuckle spot, and he won. Like it was just a very underwhelming match in every way. It was like aggressively fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying. It was definitely the last match. Last match in the main event, I gave it 4.5 stars, and this, I don't know, I'll probably give it 3.25, 3.5. I mean, that's a massive step down, right?
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's sort of the expectation, knowing that the last one was the main event, and knowing this one's just gonna be a match on the card, especially the second match on the card. It helped change my thought process there, and I was like, okay, this isn't gonna be as great as the last one. It sucks because it's like, I don't know, what you can't really get up to that level at that point unless you're in another main event slot. I think they should have maybe saved this for a TV main event, and then they could have done a fantastic match similar to the first one. That would have been working better. I agree. Orange Cassidy winning with the turnbuckle and then the constant barrage of Superman punches was a little too much for what Orange Cassidy should need. I would have liked more if it was a dirtier pin or dirtier thing from Orange Cassidy than an accidental double turnbuckle spot.
I guess don't know when Jon Moxley became Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Like, did I miss that?
I thought I was going to say, I think Chris Statlander became Brock Lesnar during her match. Yeah, I don't know. Well, what do you mean by Brock Lesnar? Just like the guy that
when you watch like a Brock, when you watch a Brock match and like if he's facing a smaller opponent, like they'll hit him like a million times and he'll just do like the wobbly thing, and it's like, all right, I believe it because like Brock's Brock and he's humongous.
The Terry Funk,
yeah, like he's huge, but like when did Moxley start doing this?
Yeah,
this week. When he no-sold the orange punch, like Superman punch, whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah.
That.
Why do they call it the Superman punch? Why don't they call it the orange punch?
Do they call it the orange punch?
No, I think they just call it the Superman punch.
I have no idea. Whatever. But yeah, that was my main problem because I was like, is this like part of the story that I missed?
Yeah.
I was like, when did he become like this indestructible force that lost to Phoenix a month ago?
Yeah, I think it's this idea of like he was an indestructible force a little bit in their main event match at All Out.
Yeah, but we lost that since then.
I agree.
That
He
went
got
away.
injured.
He
he
got
got
injured
injured, had
and
to
lost
go and
to
lose the
Phoenix.
title. And lost the title to Phoenix. So it's like there's a little bit of a weight imbalance there. I will say though, John Moxley doesn't get the title. That helps me out in my New Japan IC title triple threat match coming up. That helps my theory out of maybe David Finlay doesn't win the IC title.
I'll also give a hot take here. I don't enjoy Orange Cassidy matches for the most part.
Really
Like I think a lot of his strikes just meh.
unbelievable.
No, I wouldn't say unbelievable because I'm someone who watches wrestling and takes the unbelievable part out of it. But like I'm watching him like when he like fakes the kicks and then he starts kicking them harder. I was like, these are like the worst kicks I've ever seen. I was like, what are we doing here? I was like, just like
the fake kicks look worse or the real kicks?
No, the real ones. The real ones look the same. Like just with more movement in his body.
I do like John Moxley doing the fake kicks during this match.
I did like that. That was probably my favorite point of the match.
Yeah.
I would like to move on from this. I'm like this. They're not.
I don't want to move on because I know what the next match is, and the next match is
no. I would like them to move on from the story.
Oh,
and
okay.
just have Moxley do something else.
Yeah,
next match I could. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm guessing that we're moving on from the story. I don't know where we go now because we all thought this was going to be back on the rails of Orange Cassidy, John Moxley winning the title and go back to what we're doing. Now it's something completely different. What is that going to be? I really don't know where we're going with Orange Cassidy. I guess we'll find out on Dynamite.
Are they going to keep John Moxley out of the Continental Classic? I feel like that's against his everything to stay out of that thing.
Probably, maybe. They might put him in. They can't have Orange in it. They can't have Orange in it because he has the title. Good. That would be weird.
Good.
So Moxley could be in it.
Don't want him in it.
I'll be down with that though.
Because I was thinking about it, I was like, how do you keep the top 3 Blackpool Combat Club people out of this tournament? Like you have Danielson in already.
Yeah. Well, if you have 2 brackets, you put Moxley on the other side.
My point is like a G1 tournament fits all 3 of their mindsets. Claudio it's like how do you keep Claudio out then too? It's like
do you
just put them all in? I'm gonna be against it. I will tell you this: if John Moxley and Claudio the next 2 added to this tournament, I will not be upset.
It would be interesting. I think you put at least one of them on the other side, and then you can convincingly get away with doing like Danielson.
Kenny Omega better be in that thing. We're not previewing it yet, but he better be in that thing.
Let's just preview it because let's preview it because I fully don't know when Eddie Kingston's promo about it happened. So
that's true. I have no idea when that happened.
So Eddie Kingston comes out. He does a little promo backstage with Big Bill's fiance, where he talks about
Big Bill.
Continental Classic. We found out, I think, earlier in the night, maybe this is the spot where we find out that Mark Briscoe is going to be a member of the Continental Classic. And we find out later. Yep, I like that. I like that addition. We find out later in the night that Eddie Kingston is also going to be joining it. So now it's Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson, Andrade, and Mark Briscoe. But Eddie Kingston is going to do something different. He's going to put up his Ring of Honor world title belt. He's going to put up his New Japan Strong title belt. For every match that he's in. So we're going to get a title that changes hands multiple times.
So they changed that
They did change that, didn't they? Tony Khan changed that later, right?
Yeah, so it sounds like just the winner of the tournament gets all the belts.
Yeah. I mean, either or the winner would get all the belts because they would just pass around the Ring of Honor world title.
Sure. But what if Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe face the last day and Mark Briscoe's 0-4 and Eddie Kingston's whatever, and Mark Briscoe won.
You got to do Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston in the same bracket, don't you?
Oh well, yes. But like, just like think of that, and the way like some people took it last night, I thought the Ring of Honor World Title was dead. Yeah. I don't know if it's dead. It sounds kind of dead. I'm not sure yet though, so I won't say anything. But it sounds kind of dead. And the strong openweight title also sounds pretty dead.
Yeah. So the announcement basically is that he's putting his titles on the line, and the winner also gets not only those 2 title belts, but also a brand new, never before heard of Continental Championship that is suddenly new in this company.
They can't have 3 mid-card belts.
It's 3 mid-card belts, but it sounds like the title only is defended every year in the tournament. That's what I got from the presser. But the idea being is that this is a new Triple Crown title, a AEW Triple Crown Championship, which Quinn Evans writes is one of the messiest and confusing ideas they've ever had. Did you see the main event? But this idea of we now have a Triple Crown champion that seemingly is defended every year, but one of them is also the world title, and one of them is the New Japan Strong title. This symbol of unity between the 3 promotions is nice, but the moment you start thinking beyond that,
2 promotions.
Yeah, 2, 3, if you count Ring of Honor is what I'm doing there, but we all know what that really is. If you look at it on paper, it's like, okay, that's a nice moment of unity, but ultimately it's like, okay, is the Ring of Honor world title dead? Is that no longer being defended individually? Right? Like, if we're going to make a new Triple Crown Championship,
A lot of history and prestige getting nuked.
Yeah, if the Triple Crown Championship is existing now, then it's just that. Then we're not. Then it can't be like, oh, the Triple Crown Champion, and then the Ring of Honor World Champion defends it at Final Battle and loses it before the end of the tournament. And now it's not a Triple Crown; it's a Double Crown Champion.
Have we considered? Hear me out here. That the winner of this tournament just challenges for the world title. Have we considered that?
That would make sense.
So here are the rules for the actual thing, which, by the way, they did not give me a time limit for these matches, which annoys the shit out of me. I need to know if this is 15, 20, 30. I need to know how many draws I should start expecting. Mm-hmm. No one is allowed ringside.
You're getting Stardom flashbacks, getting 5-star flashbacks of how many draws.
At least with Stardom, I know what to expect. I have no idea what to expect for this. This is brand new. Yeah. Are we doing the 20-minute time limit? I think we should, because I think that's fine for TV. 15's fine too. Do not do 30. Anyways, no one is allowed ringside. No interference. 3 points for a win.
Mm-hmm.
1 for a draw. They're not creating new titles. They're unifying a Triple Crown. A Triple Crown that doesn't exist.
Wait. Tony Khan said that they're not unifying titles. They're just doing a Triple Crown.
Yeah, they're unifying a Triple Crown. Whatever.
And they're not creating titles. You are creating a title.
I don't understand this. And then the winner. I hope. By the way, I hope the Continental Championship is just like a trophy. I like trophies. I like they're always good. And the winner will compete in next year's tourney. So that's how you see the defense, I guess.
So the Continental title is defended every year at the tournament.
Yeah.
The Ring of Honor World title and the New Japan Strong title can presumably still be defended, but if you lose it, you then are no longer a Triple Crown champion.
Brother, I don't know. So that's the problem.
People in New Japan fans, the thin Ring of Honor fans exist, are especially the New Japan fans, are very upset this idea of and they fully believe it is a morphing of these New Japan Strong titles as becoming a Triple Crown title, and Eddie Kingston is dropping the Strong title and the Ring of Honor World title, and it's just getting without putting anyone over, and that's upsetting a bunch of New Japan fans. How do you feel about that concept?
I think we're starting to see how New Japan feels about America as is, and I think they're starting to trend more and more away from it. So maybe this is their way of being like, yeah, you can get rid of these titles. Like, that's kind of how I'm starting to see it, because like the Strong brand they already started to kill earlier this year, right? Like
that's fair. Yeah,
it went away from the tapings to just do special events that are spaced out oddly. There's only like 1 event set next year so far, which is Battle in the Valley. So, it was a big one last year. But like, I'm starting to see them maybe realize that they can focus elsewhere. And maybe this is just me being kind of in line with the Bushiroad thinking things with Stardom, because they're doing the Southeast Asia stuff.
Yeah.
But New Japan's part of that. So maybe that's, I just don't remember them like really giving any emphasis in that joint presentation about America. So maybe we're slowly going away from it. Maybe this is part of it. I don't really have much qualms about the Strong Openweight title going away, but that's because New Japan has so many titles. Like, who cares?
And like you said, New Japan has been actively diminishing the strong brand a little bit over the
Yeah.
past year.
Yeah. Did you happen to see this? This is from Jim Valley tweeted this. Tony Khan said, this was part of this press.
I have it loaded up. The sports-based product?
Yeah. If you want a sports-based product, put your fucking money where your mouth is and strap in.
Those are
and
quotes.
Watch the Continental Classic. Yes. Put your fucking mouth where your money where your mouth is. That is an actual quote. He is telling his fans to do that.
Telling the hardcore fan base to put your money where your mouth is and watch the product.
Essentially, shut up and watch it.
Well, here's the thing, Tony Khan, and I saw someone tweet this out, and I agree with the tweet. I forget who it was, so I apologize. But I would argue that hardcore fans have been putting put their money where their mouth is. And that is
buy every AEW pay-per-view.
We're insane, so that's different. My point there is, I would argue that hardcore fans are putting their money where their mouth is by buying less tickets, watching less of your television product, and actively enjoying your product less. So they are. If you're saying put your money where your mouth is, there's a better way to ask. Please come back to my company.
Yeah.
And watch the hardcore wrestling that you loved before.
TK, my boy, Tony Khan, my guy. I'm excited for the Continental Classic. I want you to know that, my friend. But don't start yelling at me. This isn't my fault.
I'm on your side.
I've been trying to cheer for you. I'm about to praise the hell out of Swerve versus Hangman. I'm about to praise the hell out of the Continental Classic because at the end of the day, this is what the alternative is. No, the alternative is bringing a G1 round robin style tournament to America and hopefully, please, doing it right. Now, listen, at the end of the day, I don't love what the winner is getting. I think just a title shot is simple. I think you would agree, especially after getting rid of the Full Gear Eliminator tournament. I think this would be a fine way to, get a title shot for like Revolution or something. Whatever. If that's not what you want, fine. I have no idea. Maybe they still do. Point being, I'm going to watch it. And I know it's going to be great because, listen, Bryan Danielson, Mark Briscoe, Andrade El Idolo, Eddie Kingston. That's one hell of a start.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a start. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, but I've been doing it. That's why I'm asking for more of this.
I found out it was Andrew Rich that tweeted that concept, and his full quote was in regards to Tony Khan's comments. What a bunch of crap. Tony, you booked the stuff that has made those fans critical and turn away. The onus is on you. And I guess a lot of them are putting their money where their mouth is because they're not buying your tickets or watching your television.
Roasted. That though, I think what he's saying is that these tournament matches better get a lot of viewers.
Well, yeah, they better, but you can't say put your fucking money where your mouth is. You can't do that.
Here's an idea. This is my biggest gripe about all of this. Why didn't you release the blocks on this pay-per-view?
I fully agree. Fully agree.
Why are you going to do it on social media?
Yes. Why are we finding out on social media? Put it on here. Get me excited. Your pay-per-view people, 100,000 people just bought your pay-per-view. Get them to watch your television product.
Oh my God. It's like, at
least announce a match that is happening on Wednesday.
Like announce Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston or something, right?
Yes.
It's like, just do that. People are going to be like, oh boy, they're going to do the old Ryan, boy howdy situation. They're going to get themselves excited for that.
Remember they had a tournament during this year, and this is the last tournament of the year of the 12 billion tournaments this year in AEW. Remember they had a tournament this year where we didn't know all the participants or anything until like halfway during the tournament?
Yes, the one that started the MJF and Adam Cole feud. Yes.
Yeah, you're right. That's what it was.
Yes,
the one that. So you're saying the storyline, the logic didn't make sense in that tournament either?
Interesting. I am excited for the Continental Classic, but there's the rollout of this has been so
We know
it
we know
feels
a third. Like, we only know a third of the people.
Let's say this: when they aired the Continental Classic, it's starting to feel like they thought of that idea that same week.
Yeah,
and it's really showing. Like.
And apparently this has been in the works. Okay, give me some names. Give me some blocks.
Give me the names. Give me the blocks, brother. Like, come on. You know them. You have to know them. It starts on Wednesday.
Get me excited for it. What are we doing?
Oh God! Don't tell me to put my money where my mouth is. I can't put money on something I don't even know what it is. God,
Fantastic point.
now
Anyways,
we have
let's
to
move.
talk about the whole show still. Jeez.
An hour and 30 in. I'm gonna fly through this one. I think AEW
Oh, yeah.
Women's World Title match. Toni Storm defeats Hikaru Shida. 10 minutes and 25 seconds.
What was the point of putting the belt back on Hikaru Shida? Toni Storm couldn't beat Saraya?
It would have made sense within the storyline for
No
Toni Storm
shit!
to beat Saraya.
What the hell are we doing? I feel bad for Shida. You know what's my only plus out of all this? And it's not really a plus, it's more of just a hope. Maybe in the end this helps Mariah May. Maybe. That's my only hope. Because otherwise, I am so done with the timeless Tony stuff. What you know what's funny? Do you remember like then the bell rings? Remember when Adam Cole said that about Karrion Kross or whatever? Like Karrion Kross gets this big special entrance and then the match rings and you suck pretty much. Yeah, the problem is I don't enjoy the pre-match stuff either. I don't enjoy any of it. I'm not enjoying Timeless Toni Storm went from like this funny like she's losing her mind gimmick to she's Marilyn Monroe. She's an actress from the 50s. Ha 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 ha. She's making short films. Ha 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 ha.
It's jumped the shark. I fully was on board with the promos and everything beforehand, but once you're making short films, you're in black and white. You got Luther. You can't do this. You can't do that to the deathmatch legend. What are we doing?
The company. Someone tweeted something out great that like in a company that has like Moxley, Japanese deathmatch legend Luther, that Hangman's the best deathmatch wrestler. I was like, I don't know if how many people actually know that Luther is that because now he's
not that in this company for sure.
No,
the most egregious like late stage Vince Russo WWE or WCW bit, and she's already done it before. She did in the Emi Sakura Rampage match, but this idea of having a script and then ripping it up, it's like, what are we doing? It's so
ripped up the
shark.
script of the story.
Yeah, it is so jump the shark. It is so hat on a hat that it is.
The first minute, I was like, "Oh shit, they're wrestling! All right, here we go," and then they just
and the steel pan, the ladle. What are we doing with this ladle? It is so obviously there. Ref blindness on a full tilt.
I was like, it's sticking out of her ass. Like literally,
you can
it is.
fully see it.
It's like this is not hidden. This is not hidden at all.
This is not a hidden ladle. It is a full-on, as right as the world can see, ladle that's just sticking out of her ass, falling down her trunks. What are we doing?
But I digress.
Toni
Storm's your champion. I'm upset. Do you remember a few weeks ago, for the listeners at home, you probably heard us talk about the AEW, the state of AEW, right? And I said one of the things I really like about the company is their women's champions. So they said, "Fuck you, Scott E." You enjoy something? It would be a shame if we ruined that for you.
Yeah. I think one of the things I said I enjoyed is at least they put on great pay-per-views. And
hey.
There's a great match.
Worst pay-per-view.
What's the worst pay-per-view?
This isn't even their worst pay-per-view this year.
What was it? What was the other one? Revolution or something that was like so bad in the last two matches were good. Was that Double or Nothing?
Yeah, with
there was one pay-per-view that was like every match sucked and then the last two were good. Okay, good.
Yeah, because I think Tony like tries to toss that into like, our pay-per-view run, and everyone's like,
no, not that one, brother. I'm glad the company is making so much money, but it's very apparent that none of it matters. AEW World Tag Team Title 4-way ladder match. Speaking of WWE bullshit, 4-way ladder match.
Hey! This is the only WWE bullshit I liked of the night.
Big Bill and Ricky Starks retain their titles against the Kings of the Black Throne. Drew Sigo and Roosh and FTR. What do you think of this?
Here's how much I wish this card was better. This was my second favorite match of the night. This was not supposed to be my second favorite match of the night. This was supposed to be like maybe fifth. You know, like looking at the card, I was like, all right, you know, Moxley and Cassidy, the Young Bucks match, hopefully the main event. Silly me. Like these things should all be better, but no, and don't get me wrong. These I looked at these 4 teams and I was like, how the hell is this going to be an entertaining ladder match? Like this is like none of these teams really fly. Like they have Dralistico, but Dralistico is a rather grounded luchador for the most part, right? Like he's not a Phoenix or a Vikingo where he's going to jump off of something. Well, was I wrong? They didn't need it because they had Brody King killing people, and Brody King's awesome, and Big Bill's awesome, and Roosh is awesome. You know,
and most importantly, Roosh.
During this match, this was after the Tony Storm stuff, and I think they also announced that Adam Cole was going to be in the main event at this point.
Yeah,
and Ryan messaged me, "Is AEW dead?" And then immediately Roosh had his entry. He said, "Never mind, Roosh is on TV. We're back."
Tranquilo, everything's fine.
And who was the biggest star in this match? Who was the crowd rooting for the whole match? Roosh.
Who made sure the crowd was rooting for him during the entire match?
Hey, he's a worker. He's a real worker.
Good. I love it.
He should be a champion. He is awesome. I love Roosh. He's been one of the best parts of TV since walking back in, finally.
Yeah. Brody King's pile driver spot, the Gonzo bomb, fantastic spot. Even the pile driver with Cash Wheeler and Malachi Black was good. Malachi didn't do a lot in this match. The one spot
doesn't do a lot in any of his matches.
Fair point. The one spot I didn't quite like, just because it felt full on WWE contrived BS, was Dax Harwood doing the twirly bird ladder on his neck and shoulders around.
Yeah.
I hate that spot.
I never have liked that spot.
I've seen it done logically where it makes sense, where people are also in the ring and then you do that and you knock them out. Sure. But when it's no one in the ring, you put that on and then people just randomly at this point all decide to enter the ring and just immediately get knocked out or don't duck. It's very foolish. It looks very silly, and I didn't enjoy that. But otherwise, I agree. I thought this was a really good match. I tweeted out saying that it was like this is a WWE-esque multi-man ladder match with blood and pile drivers. So very good. A very good match.
Yeah, I loved it. I just wish it wasn't my second favorite match on the show.
That's fair. AEW TBS title match.
Time out. Did you like who won? Were you okay with Bill?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, of course, I would have enjoyed Roosh get both tag belts.
Just Dralistico, you're not here. So the Golden Jets are winning these belts.
Yeah, I would think so.
What happened to the tag division that I loved? I love Kenny and Jericho, but I want Kenny to be done with tag team wrestling.
We're just recycling what happened at the beginning of AEW.
Yeah, except it's not with Hangman, so I'm far less interested.
AEW TBS title match. Julia Hart gets to steal the win pinfall over Chris Statlander and Sky Blue. I enjoy Julia Hart's improved a lot, and she's gotten a lot better. I wouldn't at this time would have put the title on her because she's still very young and she's still improving. And you talked.
I watched the scrum.
Yeah, she's talking about the script presser, like how she's still learning and all this stuff. But she seems very.
She had the most 20-year-old dancers.
Yes.
Yes. Though Jim Valley asked about Keiji
the Mist
baby, and she was like,
"Huh?
Shit."
She said, "Jim Valley, do you really think Julia Hart is up to date with her Keiji Muto Lord?"
I don't care. I appreciate it because she was like, "Well, he's got me beat." I was like, "Yeah, you're damn right. Time for you to go make a child." But never mind.
Oh no, Julia Hart.
That's what he did. He made a child with his mist.
She's still very young. She's still very much improving. She's way better than what she was before. I wouldn't have necessarily put the title on her yet. I think a title makes sense later. but Chris Statlander was doing really well. I wouldn't have taken the title off of Chris Statlander. I'm not fully upset about Julia winning the title, but I'm just sort of like, okay, I wouldn't have expected it now, but I'll take it.
They're striking while the iron's hot.
Yeah, it makes sense. I get it.
I think here, I said this to you. Here's the difference between Julia Hart and Toni Storm, and it's probably why I don't actually mind Julia Hart winning. I just wish one of Sheeta or Chris Statlander were still champion.
That's fair.
Because I think a work rate champion would have been nice. But silly me in this division. The difference is
both of our women's champions are doing different levels of gimmick.
Yeah. The difference is that Julia Hart has full, and this is funny because she is very much not the veteran of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But she has an understanding of her character and she really carries it out well. But when the bell rings, she just wrestles.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no lore. She just wrestles.
There's no magic. There's no magic.
She just wrestles. When when the bell rings for Toni Storm, it's the character from bell to bell. And that's my biggest problem. Now, Julia Hart, I think, has had some solid appearances over the past couple months. And you know what? I'm fine with striking when the iron's hot. I understand the title change here.
Yep.
And I think my frustration isn't that she's champion. My frustration is that Chris Statlander isn't, because I think she did such a good job with that belt.
I agree. Julia Hart throws a lariat in this match that was like, whoa, damn, where did that?
Yeah, she does some things, and I'm like, okay, I firmly believe she's one of the top women's prospects in America, and comfortably, because she has the character down, and there's clearly skill on the wrestling side. Do you learn while you're champion? We've seen how that went with Jade, so we'll see. But at least she's a good character and whatever. Sky Blue, by the way, very done with I don't like this thing that we're doing here.
Well, the good news is that Sky Blue is one hurt heel glove away from fully embracing her Alexa Bliss cosplay.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah, that was good. That's good.
Yeah, so new music.
I'm gonna get pinned. That's the only good news.
New music, throws down her hat, puts on a dark, spooky crown, and Excalibur yelling on commentary, "Is this the final transformation of Sky Blue? What are we doing?"
You know, I will say this. My one other fault of the night here is, if Chris was going to lose this title, I was hoping she would go for the world title. I don't want her losing to Toni Storm.
Yeah. Because the Toni Storm thing, if they're doing that All About Eve storyline, then the Toni Storm,
Mariah.
Then it's going to be a match where, like Adam Cole, Mariah May has to defend the title on behalf of Toni Storm, and then Mariah May retains it and becomes the champion somehow. It's going to be something like that.
I just want to tell everyone Mariah May is a lot better than current Toni Storm. All right, continue.
Texas Deathmatch, Swerve Strickland, Adam Page.
I wish I could play Swerve's music. I can't, but I want to. This was amazing. This was everything that pro wrestling should be. You know how I explain this match, Ryan? Yeah,
that's all we can play.
Play it long enough. I appreciate you being the one that controlled the button there. This is everything AEW is supposed to be. From bell to bell, this match was. This is why they're the alternative. This is why this company exists. Hangman Page, I think, is maybe the greatest storyteller in this company. I don't know if there's anyone better at telling stories than him, because many of the best matches in AEW history have Hangman Page in them. The match with the Young Bucks, of course, the matches with Danielson, the matches with Moxley. Right? The list goes on and on. He is an all-time type storyteller who deserves to be at the top of this company year after year after year. And the fact that we got away from that because of one man is a very unfortunate truth. And I'm happy we're getting back there, but we need to keep getting back there. Also, Swerve Strickland, I've been saying it for over a year now on this goddamn show. He is the guy you want to push. If you walked away from this match and thought anything other than Hangman's great too, but that Swerve Strickland isn't the guy that should be an AEW World Champion within the next year, I don't know what you're watching. He has the heel character down to a T. To a T. My only critique of this match, it would have got 5 stars from me, is the run-in.
Yeah, I
The
fully
run-in,
agree.
the run-in annoyed me. I understood it because again, they're going for this, you're supposed to despise Swerve and love Hangman, right? So
Yeah.
Swerve not only gets pulled out by Prince Nana to save him and keep him in the match, but then they have
Twice.
help twice.
Yeah.
But then he has help and stuff like that. I get that.
It's an
But
escalation, but the escalation doesn't lead to the finish either.
Right. Like, and ultimately Hangman looks badass, right? Because he still kills Cage, he still kills Nana, and it's like, man, this guy is a cowboy. He is the baby face of this company. Like, that's what I was feeling when I was watching this.
Mhm.
And he still lost because Swerve went far, like too far. He hits him with a cinder block, then he hangs the Hangman to win.
Yeah.
And it's like a perfect ending. That is my only critique. It's a nitpick. It doesn't take away from what was one of the great AEW matches, one of the great death matches. This was a death match. This was Swerve going back to CZW / Lucha Underground days. This was Hangman just continuing his all-time stipulation method. Like, you put him in Texas Death, you're getting an all-timer. That's where we've reached.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal match. Saved the show in many ways. It will, thankfully, this is what Full Gear should be remembered for. I think it will, just because of the imagery we had in this match, right? We had a crimson mask. When was the last time we had a full-on crimson mask, which Swerve had? Oh, it's phenomenal.
Insane.
Like, when he poured the water on him and
Yeah.
the blood and water was pouring off of him, I'm like, what an image.
The bloodthirsty Hangman Adam Page.
Oh my god. I loved this match. Love these two. I think you said it great. Their first match was fantastic, and this was that much better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, would have been
they successfully escalated, other than Brian Cage, their match from previous.
Would have, like I said, I feel it would have been easy 5 stars for me if the Brian Cage thing didn't happen.
The first match I went 4 1/4 on. I think I'm gonna go 4 3/4 on this one.
That's what I have. It's in my top 5 matches of the year.
Speaking of, it's for AEW on Cage Match. It's currently at number 4.
What's ahead of it?
Okay, ahead of it, number 1 is the Young Bucks versus Page and Omega.
All time.
These are all time, yeah. Bryan Danielson versus MJF, number 2. Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr., number 3, and then Swerve Page 4. Right behind that one at number 5 is Omega Ospreay. That's some would say an elite tier of matches right there.
Hangman's incredible. That's all. That's
Swerve and Hangman and they're so good, and they have such good chemistry in the ring. Yeah. Like the match flowed and escalated so well from.
I love the start of it. Hangman didn't wait for his music; he just bang right into it.
Talking about the escalation, I'm glad you brought that up. Starting off hot, going straight into a finish of a match, the buckshot lariat. All right, now we have to escalate from there. We have to still create a climax to a match. We start with what a normal finish would be and build a climax too. All right, we're going to do cinder blocks. We're going to do glass. We're going to do barbed wire. That chair shot to the back of the head, that in slow motion, we saw that barbed wire break off and wrap around Adam Page's face. That was brutal. The staple gun, everything they did was escalated based off of what a normal finish of a match would be into a Revolution of this year match ending where Swerve knocks out Adam Page by hanging him. And direct composition to what Adam Page did to Jon Moxley earlier this year. It was fantastic. It was great. I fully believe we're going to continue this storyline. Adam Page has not gotten his revenge. Swerve, I think, will feel satisfied, so he's going to try and move on, but Adam Page is going to pull him back. And that's why I said before, I think we're going to get another match at World's End, and I think it's going to be a 3 stages of hell match. We're going to get glass. We're going to get blood. We're going to get everything you thought from this match, plus more. What is it going to be? What are the 3 stages? Who the hell knows? Look up Kill Shot Swerve Strickland versus Dante Fox in Lucha Underground. That is the last time I saw Swerve Strickland this brutal of a match and a 3 stages of hell match. You'll get an idea of what we're going to get, I think, at World's End.
We're coming down to desperation for Hangman Page, and I think it'll be fun to see how they work that out over the next few weeks. But what this feud ultimately did was this feud is the opposite of much of the MJF stuff. It got Hangman back to where he was, right? That was what the Moxley feud was supposed to do.
Yeah.
It didn't because they cooled him down with the Elite stuff, I think.
Yeah, it did, but then the Elite stuff immediately cooled everything.
So they didn't go right into something from there. So this got Hangman back to be like, oh, he is the guy of this company. And it made Swerve a made man. He is like, for anyone that was questioning if Swerve had it, not only does he have it, he's been it for AEW for the entire feud. Like, he has been my favorite part of this company since they've done all of this, and I'm just grateful that they went as far as they did. You know, with the this was a match that needed the blood. This was a match that needed the stapling and the cinder block. It needed every bit of what they had, except for the run-in by Brian Cage. That is my one thing. That is my one thing. And that was one of my problems with Kenny and Ospreay too, when Don Callis ran in. It's just like, it's almost like you can't help yourself. You know, it's like, I don't need this. Like, Prince Nana helping was enough for me. It was perfect.
It's booking getting actively in the way of the match, and you can feel it. It's like this was unnecessary. It really was unnecessary. You can completely remove her from the match, and it didn't lead to the finish in any way. It was just like another distraction that helped elevate it more, but it wasn't. It didn't quite work as an elevation.
If you take all the Cage stuff out and still do the Nana thing, I think that it's perfect.
I think it's a 5-star match.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm frustrated that it wasn't. It did have that. At the end of the day, I'm not that frustrated. It's one of my favorite matches of the year, my AEW match of the year, but it just would have been perfect.
Yeah. AEW World Tag Team Title match, the #1 contendership. Golden Jets, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega defeat the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson. 21 minutes of, I think, just solid tag team wrestling. They were in a very incredibly tough spot as the cool down match after the Texas Death Match. But I think
they got the crowd back into it.
Yeah, they got the crowd back into it. They knew they were the cool down. They're 4 professionals. They went out there, did their thing. I think they did a really good job. Young Bucks lose. They lose their title shot. So that means Golden Jets versus Big Bill and Ricky Starks at some point, which is nice. We got Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks has a little bit of an interaction there, so that could work. Young Bucks have another sissy baby tantrum afterwards. And I saw Brandon Cutler tweeted out saying that they're taking time away from wrestling and going to focus on whatever. So whatever the hell that means. So we're doing something like sort of childish storyline, I guess, with the Young Bucks.
It feels like they are trying to put the side of what, the CM Punk fans call them on TV. And I don't know if I like it yet. I don't know where I'm at with it yet, because I do think heel Bucks are better than anything else. I haven't settled on it yet. I thought the match was really good. I mean, once Kenny got there, the switch flipped, as often happens with Kenny. And he just reminds you he's the best. He just does that, and he just went off. And it's like, man, what do we do? What is so hard about making Kenny a single star in this company? What is so hard about that?
I don't know.
Can you tell me? Because I don't think they know.
I don't know. I do not know. It's like I don't know.
Ospreay signed, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Got
that.
I do want to just touch on that. We'll do Survivor Series in 2 seconds. Like literally, that preview will be 2 seconds because I think it's like 3 matches and it's all war games.
Well, we got to talk about the Ruffles sponsorship.
That's true. That's actually the most important.
That's the most.
With Ospreay signing, one, how do you feel? Obviously, I think that's the most important part. How do you feel about him joining AEW? 2, he's staying through with New Japan through New Beginnings, which I think is interesting, and then he'll be leaving.
Yep.
He won't. It's not just Wrestle Kingdom.
Yep.
And I do like that. I'll just say I like his loyalty in that respect. And 3, what would you do with him in his first year?
I like Will Ospreay, obviously in AEW.
I didn't know you were gonna say in AEW. I was just like, I know
I like
you
Will
like
Ospreay.
Will Ospreay.
He's a pretty cool cat. Yeah, no,
bruv. He's a bruv.
If he's leaving New Japan and has to go somewhere, obviously I want him in AEW. WWE, I talked about this before with Julia, I talked about it with Okada to a certain extent earlier in the show, where it's just like, if you go to WWE, you have to bring your style down immensely. This guy is still extremely young. He signs a 3-year deal with AEW. So he is still young enough, honestly, where he can work 3 years in AEW. And then if he wants to, sign off and go to WWE at that point, he'll be what? I want to say, 33. He would be 33 years old. That's still young enough where he can still now make even more money in the WWE and still do everything he wanted. He can work every promotion, work AEW for 3 years, have a great run there, and then go off to WWE, make even more money in WWE, and limit his style starting at 33. And do the WrestleMania main events and all that stuff.
He's still wrestling New Japan.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, it sucks for New Japan. At least they get to hopefully
they knew.
Yeah, they knew it was happening, so they were prepared for it. They knew it was happening for probably a couple months. We don't know actually exactly long, but I would guess a couple months. And they had their opportunity to build up new stars, and that's on them. If you think they built up David Finlay enough, all right. I don't.
Ultimately, I will say they should have gave the belt to Shota, but whatever.
Yeah. You would think that they would have known before the Shota match. You would have think maybe they would have known about the Tsuji match, Yeah. So it's he had Barry Bloom in his corner before the Shota Umino match. So at the very least, they knew then. So I think that part is on New Japan. I think New Japan is making a lot of concessions to AEW right now. And I think I think it's too many. I think
this one's smart, I will say.
Yeah, this one's smart. He's already leaving, so you should be happy at the very least that he's in AEW, that he can potentially still work New Japan, right?
Yeah. And Rev Pro, he'll probably still work.
Exactly. So these are all good things for New Japan, because otherwise he would have just gone to WWE and you can't use him at all. At least you have the potential to use him for the next 3 years. How often will you actually use him? Time will tell.
I'm gonna guess a Moxley amount.
Yeah, me too. I would guess a Moxley amount,
which is a pretty good amount.
Agreed. It's what he does in his first year. Like I said, I think there's a good chance he's winning the world title at Wembley. I think that's kind of the selling point if you're trying to bring in Ospreay.
If he's not main eventing that show, I will be shocked.
They signed him. Tony Khan expressly said that we kind of signed Will Ospreay to make sure that he can help the all-in ticket sales. So now, before going off the brand, now we're using Will Ospreay as a draw for AEW. So that's gonna be interesting for Wembley to see how
this
those.
This is the first time AEW's really used someone besides Chris Jericho as a draw.
Yeah, this is gonna be a very interesting test for Will Ospreay, Hall of Famer, Will Ospreay. No, he's not a Hall of Famer yet. I apologize. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer yet.
He's 30 years old, man. How could he possibly be Hall of Famer?
How could he's going to get in no matter what. And if he sells well, in Wembley, then selling draw.
He'll be a world champion.
Yeah, I think he's going to win the title. I hope he doesn't win off of MJF. I hope he wins it off of
MJF.
I don't know, Adam Page. I don't know.
Swerve.
Well, I don't know if Swerve. I guess Swerve can beat it off.
Swerve's a heel.
Yeah, Swerve's a heel. Yeah, Swerve can beat it off of.
I think Osprey's a babyface at this stage of the game. Like, I think everyone just wants to cheer him.
I agree. Well, he's part of the Don Callis family. That's also what's interesting.
Is he though?
I know.
Like, I think his first story will be that.
I agree. I think his first story is Don Callis family. We see how that goes, and I think eventually Wembley is going to be him. For
You know what I thought about?
What's that?
Him and Austin Open can win the trios belts.
That could work too. That could
That's
work too.
fun.
Whenever Mark Davis comes back.
Well, yeah, he's not here. He already said he's not going to be around for like 3-4 months still. So
yeah,
it's not like we can get ready for Osprey. It's not like he's going to be in the Continental Classic. He's not around for another couple months. So it's almost like, hey, he's here, but he's not.
Yeah, and then if you have, if you take Kyle Fletcher out of Don Callis family and reunite the United Empire with Will Ospreay, then you have Mark Davis, Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay versus Hobbs, Sammy Guevara, Takeshita. And that's a good trios title match if I've ever seen one.
If you told someone 3 years ago that in the same week AEW would sign Kota Ibushi and Will Ospreay, would you think that the AEW and New Japan work together?
No, and I would be like, well, New Japan's fucked. And I do think to a large extent New Japan is screwed right now. I don't think Sonata is as over as he should be. David Finlay is definitely not over as he should be.
They're
in a rough spot. They're going to be a rough spot. I'm very interested to see how Wrestle Kingdom comes out because I think they're a very rough spot.
This again is why I think the strong / American push is now slowly ending. They don't have a marquee star to push over here, like a marquee English speaking star. Not an American. American doesn't matter. Like Zach isn't going to pull in people here. It's not happening.
I think there's a good chance Zach signs away to AEW when his contract comes up.
I could see it, but he's such a different guy. Like, he's just been with New Japan forever. Like, he could just be someone that sticks. He could be someone that goes to AEW. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he also like hates American fans. So like, he's the guy that says like, showing them technical wrestling is like, playing Beethoven to like a dog or something.
Yeah.
It's like
he did it with Bryan Danielson at
but every other match he's ever had before that, people are like, which is wrong because he's Zack Sabre Jr. and he's great. But my overall thought here is that going away from America probably makes a lot of sense for them. They should just, I'm not saying give up totally. They should do shows from time to time, but maybe more, less of a brand itself instead.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can see what you mean by that. I fully agree with what you're saying there. New Japan strong brand at this point, I think this year was literally just the branding US shows and then the independent shows in Cork and Hall.
Their main draw for two of them was Mercedes.
And Shingo and, defending the Never title and,
these last two were just throwing things at a wall.
Yeah. And I think that's very apparent of how they treat that brand right now.
Did Ospreay wrestle on any strong shows? I don't think he did.
Ooh, I don't think so. I can't remember. He showed up at that first one or whatever, that first pay-per-view, Battle in the Valley.
No, I meant this year. I know he did. He wrestled before on a strong show, but like I don't think he did this year.
I don't think he did either. Yeah, I think the problem with the strong brand is that like when you have AEW and you're still recovering, you're at the same sort of finance level as you were pre-pandemic, but you're not growing still. You still need to growth and do all that stuff, that capitalism BS. But the idea of it's an easy thing to do is just kind of get rid of your American arm, and AEW is just the American arm of your company.
Yeah, that's why they have all these partnerships now.
All your top gaijins are leaving and we're leaving to this other company. You kind of have to. The sad truth of it is you kind of are just submitting to AEW right now. This is kind of the thing that Harold Meiji, the former president of New Japan, kind of warned about and was like, I don't want to do this because this is what would happen. And this is what we're getting. by working with AEW. I think AEW is still better than WWE for sure, because you can get a Bryan Danielson on Wrestle Kingdom, a John Moxley on Wrestle Kingdom.
Well, can you? Because Tony Khan said, let me put him in a G1 style tournament right before.
I agree. Bryan Danielson, who knows if he's going to make it to the Okada match.
They must. That's why I think they stalled Claudio versus Okada like it seemed like they might do.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just saving that for that. I think Claudio will be making the trip over just in case. Like, hey, we need you we might need you to fill in and face Okada. Thanks. Which like is great, but
yeah, that would work as a good match.
Not is it Wrestle Kingdom though?
No, of course not.
Dominion, sure.
Yeah, you can get like some big stars for your company, but you have to submit a lot. And the problem is that like it's just the reality of what's happening with AEW by working with AEW. It's you get the partnership, but what do you get out of it? Bryan Danielson, John Moxley on your shows, people holding titles. You are the Noah to AEW's New Japan. You know, you are the promotion that is underneath AEW. So you kind of have to work underneath that, so to a certain extent. So it sucks for New Japan, but it's the reality.
I do hope that they can figure some things out. The 2024 is going to be a very interesting year.
Agreed.
For them, because obviously they're going to go with Naito to kind of right the ship.
Yep.
I think that's very clear. And then it's like from there you're gonna have to you'll be able to do a lot of moving parts because Naito is going to get people in the building. Obviously, he's the most popular wrestler in Japan. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm optimistic, but I sure am curious.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. Survivor Series. We're going way over 2 hours, but let's just finish up Survivor Series real quick. Same week, I'm noticing this Saturday. Chicago Thanksgiving is AEW this Wednesday as well. So Wednesday in Chicago is Dynamite, and then Saturday is Survivor Series War Games. So that's an interesting one.
You want to hear? I had a memory that I was there last Saturday after Thanksgiving. I was at Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, did I hate that.
Well, let's see if you enjoy this one. So we have the War Games 8-man tag team match, which is, of course, sponsored by Ruffles. Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Shotzi versus Asuka, Bayley, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane. The sponsorship by Ruffles is if you can now vote on which team do you think will get the War Games advantage.
Crazy.
Thoughts on? Should we just do our overall thoughts on the show or match by match? Because
match by match will be quick. You got a lot of top stars in this match. Obviously, I'm interested to see the
Becky, Bianca,
the Joshi trio,
Charlotte, Shotzi.
Yeah, you think I care about Shotzi? I'm interested to see how Io, Kairi, and Asuka work together. Now that this will be their first match as a trio.
Yeah.
Well, with Bayley, but whatever. Yeah. Ultimately, we know Bayley's fate. I would like them to win, but I think they win and the baby faces win the other match. Truthfully, I think that's how it should go. So, yeah, I
think Damage Control is winning because Shotzi's on the other team.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I just always get afraid when I see the other three because it's like they never lose.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like but I like that Kairi's in a big spot right out of the gate. I like that Io and Asuka are like, I just like them all together. I know people are like, oh, put all the Joshis together, but it's like, what did you want them? Like, I have no problem with it because it's different.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not Kabuki Warriors. It's like an actual faction where Io is now actually being pushed to the top star of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Took forever, but we're finally getting there. So I'll take it. And I'm interested to see, do we get a moonsault off the top or do we get a Kairi elbow? Because a Kairi elbow would be incredible.
An MJF-esque elbow off the top.
Yeah, except 10 times better.
God, the table spot. I didn't even talk about the table spot getting blown.
That was
completely.
perfect. That was a perfect fit for that match.
I burst out laughing when that happened. Carlito versus Santos Escobar, sort of a fight over Rey Mysterio's honor.
Sure.
Yeah.
Santos Escobar got his music back and kind of fine promo. I like Santos Escobar and Carlito.
This is a match between a 44-year-old and a 39-year-old. WWE Intercontinental title match, Gunther versus The Miz. Will this be another Gunther banger?
Man. This is such a crime, man. They finally put Gunther on TV and they're like, here's The Miz. If Gunther gets a very good match, I'm not gonna say great. I'm not crazy. If he can get a very good match out of The Miz, do we just call him Wrestler of the Year?
We're talking what is very good, 3.5.
Yeah.
I think
we just call like I think I'm gonna tweet out, forget Ospreay. Gunther got a good match out of The Miz in 2023. I think it's time we acknowledge him as the Wrestler of the Year.
I think that's fair. I think
it's fair. All right, because I don't expect it. I think he's going to do his best, but I don't expect it.
WWE Women's World Title match. Rhea Ripley defends against Zoe Stark.
This could be a good Rhea Ripley match for once.
Wasn't Zoe Stark okay? Wasn't Zoe Stark the one that took the pinfall, crown jewel?
She sure was, probably, maybe. You think I remember? I think you're right, but I have no idea.
I think I'm right too. And now she's somehow getting a title defense.
All right, men's War Games, baby. Here we go.
Men War Games, Sabian tag team match, not sponsored by Ruffles. Sorry, guys. Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Seth Rollins versus the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and new member JD McDonough.
They're gonna add Drew to this week
and make it a 10-man.
Yeah, he attacked Uso and made them lose. So they're gonna add Drew to the Judgment Day side, and then either Kevin Owens or Randy Orton are the rumored people,
or CM Punk.
No, either Kevin Owens or Randy Orton. I am more interested in Randy Orton, obviously, because he hasn't wrestled in over a year.
Plus, he has some history of Drew McIntyre
and Cody.
A
lot of history with Cody, which I would like. I wouldn't mind if that was the feud that got Cody to WrestleMania finally, because they haven't given him one.
And Seth Rollins to a certain extent, and we can't forget about Randy Orton's history with Dominic Mysterio.
And main event Jey Uso's in the match.
JD McDonough.
This should be. I don't really know if I could say it's good because, here's the thing, right? The men's side of this match is essentially what has carried WWE this year, outside of Gunther.
Yeah, outside of the bloodline.
So Cody in a War Games match, I think he's gonna be so excited and in his element that he's gonna do something stupid, and that's gonna entertain me.
He's gonna do the moonsault. He's
1,000%, which means Io probably has been told she can't.
Yeah,
which is fine. So I think they can elevate this to being better than it has any right of being. Because you look at that Judgment Day side and you're like, all right, that's definitely a side. If this match can be better than Blood and Guts, then losing Cody Rhodes is the worst thing that's happened to AEW. We're just gonna say
perfect, folks. I think it's gonna come down to if they're adding Drew McIntyre into this, then I think it's gonna come.
It gets a lot better
It gets a lot better, and then I think if it's a Randy Orton return, if by the less than 5% chance that it's CM Punk return, then the faces are winning.
If CM Punk returns, holy shit!
We'll have a fascinating story next week.
I don't think he's coming back. So
no, I think it's Randy Orton, and I think if we are doing that, then the faces are winning. Otherwise, who cares?
Yeah, I think baby faces win because you're not stopping the momentum of any of those guys right there.
No, you need, and also it's like you need Cody Rhodes to get the win because I don't know. Do they have a
They
December
don't have a
pay
show
per
till
view?
Royal Rumble.
Okay, yeah. So we don't have a show to the Royal Rumble. Cody Rhodes has to focus on the Royal Rumble, maybe win it again. Who knows? But ultimately, try to get that shot against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
Hot take. I really appreciate them just not doing a December pay-per-view.
Yeah, me too.
Because AEW said we're going to do 2. Thanks. Ring of Honor, by the way, selling great. Anyways.
Is it?
No, it's terrible. It's really bad. They haven't sold 1,000 tickets yet.
And it's not on pay-per-view. Not even on pay-per-view.
It's on Honor Club, baby.
Oh
man. Oh man.
Are you looking up the tickets right now?
No, Alex compared New Japan to Progress in WWE. New Japan AEW is what Progress was. WWE is what
I'm gonna ruminate on that one for a little bit.
Which wait 1 second. Let me get the tickets for this.
Okay.
Maybe. Just start wrapping up the show.
Yes. Thank you everybody for listening to this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We very much appreciate you all. I apologize for not being here, but last week. But I think Scotty, SP3, Trent again did a fantastic job. So thank you, those guys. I'm back. I'm married. I have a ring on my finger, and we're full steam ahead with Ring Post Radio. It's almost December, so at some point we got to start putting together the year-end awards. I gotta start asking you guys for all those thoughts. But
the year ain't over, buddy.
Year ain't over. There's Kento Miyahara versus
Nakajima. The last day of the year.
The last day of the year. So we'll see how that goes for us.
Can't wrap up the match of the year convo till that happens.
I agree. Well, until then, stick with us for Ring Post Radio. Subscribe wherever you get the podcast.
Oh, I have my update, by the way.
Oh, perfect. Here's the update. This is the final battle.
Final Battle has sold 877 tickets, which is actually more than Hard to Kill, which has sold 504.
But Hard to Kill is Impact, and what's the arena setups for both of those shows?
1,180 for Hard to Kill.
So they sold half.
Yeah, with Moose versus Alex Shelley as your
and Jordan Grace versus Trinity.
Ring of Honors is 3,722.
So they've sold what did you say, 800 you said?
Yeah.
800 divided by 3,000 is 27%. Oof.
Well, there's nothing on it. When Ronda Rousey's on it, that'll really put the butts in seats.
That's true. Well, I don't know who's gonna watch the shows to see the cards, but I guess that's fair.
There's people out there, not me.
There's people out there trying to watch Ring of Honor, and then it gets delayed by 62 minutes for that upload.
Yeah,
subscribe to Ring Post Radio wherever you get the show, on all of your podcasting apps, or of course wherever you get the live streams. Of course, we do the live stream as much as we can every Sunday. Sometimes we have to dilute it, but every Sunday we got the live stream on YouTube, Twitter.
We're here for Thanksgiving, baby.
We're here. Well, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, of course.
Well, whatever. Same. Get it. We're here for the holiday weekend.
You can follow Scotty at Scott E Wrestling on Twitter. You can follow me at Ryan Knightsey on Twitter. Follow the whole network at Count Out Pod. What's up, Scotty? You got your hands up.
Do my match of the week. You trying to ruin?
I'm doing the plugs. I'm doing.
You getting married? Ruin my usuals here.
I'm getting the plugs. No, fine. Do your things because now
one kidney stone later, and he's a different man. Gosh. Will Ospreay versus Josh Alexander. All right,
really? After all that. Yeah, that was a great match. I hadn't really thought about what my match of the week was. No, I'll do this. Okay, yeah, my match of the week. I will say. Oh, do you have any other plugs, Scotty? Before I say my match of the week.
I'll have an interview up on Fightful this week, so follow me at Scotty Wrestling to see what it is.
My match of the week is the street fight, the Dynamite street fight, Kota Ibushi, Jericho, Omega, Paul White, Brian Cage, Takeshita, Fletcher, Powerhouse Hobbs. Really good match. I thought it was
no more BS, baby.
No more BS. Did you hear on the pay-per-view that he is, what was it, like indefinitely injured or something like that? Like he's on the shelf forever?
Oh, well, good run.
What a good run for No More BS. He's put over Powerhouse Hobbs officially.
At least
I'm
someone
glad.
did.
At least someone did. Now we can just follow up immediately. Oh, what's that? Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Oh, we're not following up on Powerhouse Hobbs. Hobbs should probably be in.
You just reminded me. I have another gripe.
Oh, okay.
Don Callis was the only part of the Don Callis family on the pay-per-view. All right. My continued gripe with that story.
I imagine I think Takeshita and Hobbs should be in the Continental Classic.
That would be good.
I think that would be good for both of them.
I thought you were gonna say World Tag League for some reason. I was like, what?
No, I wouldn't be upset about that.
That'd be sick.
It's not gonna happen, but I wouldn't be upset about it.
No, it's a little late.
A little late. Yeah, subscribe, follow us, follow the whole network at Count Up Pod. We got a bunch of great shows: Stardom Road, Your Dose of Death, and Okada Shorts. And leave us a line, 2525 Ring PR for our voicemail stuff. I think that's it, Scotty. So we'll be back next Sunday for an all new episode talking about stuff. Survivor Series.
Talking about stuff.
Survivor Series. I guess the Continental Classic would have started. I gotta update my schedule to see what's up. But yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff. We'll see what it is. We'll talk to you all next week on Ring Post Radio. Goodbye, everybody.